All right, so let's start. So we'll briefly go over the form responsive and then we will start off with our revision. So we have, hopefully my screen is visible. So I guess most of you are prepared with the basics, regex and the scripting. So the set and op you can also practice. So we'll go through the basics in this session, and there are also other videos that you can go through for the revision. So yeah, thanks. I'm asking you to zoom in. Yeah. So not able to. Okay, so we'll not take these kind of doubts. You can join the TA session, the support session, which happens 9 to 11 daily. For these, yeah. So we will be covering the important topics in this session. Okay, I think this one was already asked in discourse and it's resolved. So yeah, if you are basically substituting groups of two, so then if you have 10-digit phone number, each of the twos, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all of these are grouped and all of these are separately replaced with double star. So that's why the entire number gets masked. But if you mask 6 characters with 6 stars, so the first match is the first 6, but then after that, you don't have any more 6 digits consecutively left. So the last 4 remains as it is. Yeah, recording will be there. And since our concepts are not covered in the live session, okay, so we'll cover the begin and end blocks. We'll also have a few other sessions that you can refer to. Yeah, so we'll do setup and we'll do all of these. Right, so let's begin. I'll also quickly guide you to the YouTube channel that we have. So here, if you go through the OPP revision. So, one second, yeah. So we have 2 videos here, OPP revision week 1 to 7 and OPP revision 7 off. Right, so you can also go through these for the OPP practice. So here we have covered all the topics in detail. So in this session, we won't be covering all the topics. We will only be covering a few tips and tricks and what is important for the coming OPP. Right, so let's start. Just let me know if you have any other doubts before we start. So this won't be more like a doubt session. This will just cover a few topics, and in each topic I'll take your doubts. Right. So let's start. So uh, let me just brief you with the file editor. So hopefully by now you're already familiar with the command line editor that we have because you have already done the BPTs. So if you are not familiar with Vim or Emacs, I would recommend just stick with Nano. So if you just open a file, let's say sample.txt, if you just give nano and then the file name, it will open a file. And then if it's not present, it will create the file. You can just type whatever you want exactly. And you can save with Control O and write the file name and press enter and then exit with Control X. So you can see in the bottom it's written. So this caret means console. So Control O is write and Control X is exit. Right. So similarly, you also have other editors, Vim and Emacs. So you can open in Vim as well. So if you have been using Vim or if you are fluent in Vim, I will recommend you to use Vim in the OPP because it will be much more efficient for you to edit code in this. However, if you're not familiar with Vim, then I will not recommend you to use Vim because that may actually waste more of your time. So just stick with Nano. Or if you're familiar with Emacs, then use Emacs instead. Right? So that's the basic. So there are a few other optimizations that you can do. So this is not required for the OPP, but if you are actually familiar with how the VM works, then you can go through the tips and tricks video where we have shown how you can configure your bash RC so that you have basically a few shortcuts. So you can create aliases and functions in your bash RC. And you can also use those in your OPP to speed up your the debugging process. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Someone has raised their hand. Yeah, Amit.
Sir, while using Vim and for Tmux, there were some customizations done. So
Mhm.
in the RC files, so will those be migrated to from to the VM from our practice VM?
No, so the files like your VM and the user profiles are won't be migrated. But if you want, like at the start of the OPP, you can just quickly paste that or copy paste that. So that is fine. So you're allowed to make those changes, but it won't be migrated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Prashant.
So what did you say before now? Before this, sir? Like some configuration which we can do so that can write some functions in it, sir, to refer.
Yeah, you can use some aliases and functions that we have discussed in this video, OPP tips and tricks. You can go through these later once you're done preparing for the contents of the OPP. So once you actually know how to do all the grep, bash, sed and all, and you just want to increase your speed and productivity, you can go through these. Right? So this is all of them are present in the system commands channel. Right. So similarly, you have the tmux configuration. So if you want to configure your tmux, you can go through this. Even without configuring, tmux will work as expected. But if you want, you can also configure a few things which are explained here. Right. So I won't be going into details of this. You can go through those videos in your free time for that. Right.
Um,
So yeah,
Sir, can you please put the link in the chat box?
yeah. All right. So let's quickly go through the
Just a
file
quick
system.
hello, just a
Yeah.
quick doubt. So
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with Nano editor. So is there any like what there won't be any problem if I don't use VI and all those editors, right?
No, so that's what I said, right? If you are not familiar with VI or Emacs, just use Nano. In the end, you just have to write the script. So you can just use any editor you want. You can use Nano as well.
Okay,
So your script should be there and you should be able to do sync very well. That's all.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Rajiv, can you mute yourself? Yeah. Rajiv, if you're not speaking, can you mute yourself? Okay. Give me 1 second. All right. Yeah. Sorry for the delay. So let's continue. Okay, so I'll quickly go through this. I don't expect any doubts in this. We won't be taking doubts in this. So fully, you're already familiar with the file system hierarchy. So when you log in, you will be in your home directory, which is slash home, and then your uh, dollar user, right? So when you log in, so let's say I do uh, my roll number. So SSH, your roll number, and then the domain. So the place that you log in is slash home and then your user, which is your roll number. So this is where you log in. And you're also expected to be in this folder and do everything inside this or subdirectories of this folder. The questions will be in slash OPT slash SE2001 as in normal BPT and all. And you do not go into this folder or you do not do like create scripts in this folder. So this has been something students have been doing throughout the term. So you have to only see the folder name from this SE2001 inside OPT. You have to then create your folders for each question in your home directory inside SE2001. And then inside that folder, you have to write your script and do synchro eval. Right? So let us go through a few
So,
basic.
so we have to CD to SC2001
Yes, you have to cd to SE2001 and there you have to
where
inside
we
each
have to
folder.
get the folder
Yes,
for each question. It is separate, no?
yes, yes. Same as your BPPs. Right, so hopefully you're familiar with these basic commands. So you have ls for listing files in your current directory. So the files that you have in your current directory are listed using ls. You can do ls minus l to see a detailed view. Similarly, you have cd to go inside folders. So for example, once you SSH into your VM, you have to do cd se2001 to go inside that folder, right? And there you can cd OPP, like whatever is the file name. So if it's NPP, NPP, or if it's some BPT question, then the BPT question. Right. So and then PWD shows you the current working directory. Right. So similarly, just like navigation, you can also create files and folders in your file system. So you can create files using the touch command, and you can create a directory using the mkdir command. Similarly, you can remove them using rm and rmdir. Yeah. NPP questions are in the OPP VM. Right. So let us quickly see this. So for example, so currently I'm in this folder EMP, and here
So,
if I want
sir,
to,
sorry.
yeah,
So, sir, this OPP VM will be accessible on the day of the examination, or just prior to that.
the OPP VM is also accessible now, right? Hopefully you have got the mail about NPP.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So as I said earlier, we won't be taking all these logistic doubts in this session. Right? So you
Oh,
can
sorry.
join the daily support meets that we have for all this. We will be covering the topics, important topics for OPP in this session. Right? So
Okay.
please reserve the technical doubts for your support meet. That happens 9 to 11 every day. Okay. Right, so you can create folders and you can create files in the file system by using mkdir and touch. So you can do mkdir, let's say dir1. So this will now create a directory called dir1. Similarly, you can do mkdir dir2 to create another directory. Similarly, you can use touch to create files. So the difference between touch and mkdir is this creates a directory and this creates a file. So directory is also a folder. So I can create file 1, I can create file 2. We can also give multiple arguments in touch directly instead of doing it one by one, and this will create the files. Similarly, we can directly create files inside the directory by giving the path. So this is the relative path from the current working directory. I can create like this, dir1 file 4, and then dir2 file 5, dir2 file 6. Right? So we can create as many files as we want inside folders. So we can create folders using touch that we have to do using mkdir. And to quickly see all these folders and files from the current directory, you can use tree to see all the folders and the files that are there inside, right? So it will keep on recursing as many folders are there. Right? Similarly, you can also delete files. So if I want to delete the file, I can do rm file 1. If I want to delete this folder, there are two ways. Either I can first delete all the files inside this. So I deleted the files and now I can do rmdir dir1. So if the folder is empty, then I can do rmdir. So this will remove the directory. Or if so now I can see I still have this dir2, which has files, which is not empty. So if I do rmdir dir2, this will not let me delete because this is not empty. So if I want to delete a folder which is not empty, instead of rmdir, I can use rm minus r, and then I can do dir2. So this will recursively delete everything. Right. So now you can see the folder and all the files inside it are also deleted. Right? So those are the basic file system creation and deletion commands. Hopefully you're already familiar with them. Right? So you can also create
So
multiple.
the F option is like forcing, like force delete.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
The hyphen F option is like force delete.
Yes, F is for force. So you won't be asked. You can directly type it and press enter. It will delete it. If you don't give F, it will ask you whether you're sure that you want to delete it. Right? So let us also briefly touch upon on breast expansion. So for example, if I do echo 1.10, so this syntax is the brace expansion. So the first is the starting number, last is the ending number, which is inclusive, and dot dot just means it will go by step of 1. So this will be 1 to 10, all the numbers. Similarly, we can also give a step size. So 1 to 10 dot dot 2, this will be starting from 1, step size of 2, and then
Mr. Sayal,
in
one request.
yeah, yeah.
Sir, I see your videos also. Just kindly go a little bit slow. We can understand. We cannot make the videos even 0.75 I am making. I cannot understand you anything. Just little bit slow if you can talk. Little bit only, sir. Sorry for that because I've seen all your videos. Within 4 minutes, you did 4 questions. You are maybe perfect for sure, sir. I'm sure, but we are students only. We are not able to understand you at all. Just little bit slow. So
Yeah,
it's a kind request.
let's reserve these comments for unofficial sessions. So I'll slow it down a little bit. Hopefully, it's fine for others. Right?
Yes,
So
sir.
we also have a
Thank you,
lot
sir.
of things to cover. So that's why this session is recorded. So if you're still not able to understand, you're always welcome to go through the recording a
Yes,
few
sir.
times or three
I
times.
actually on YouTube I slow it down, but still I can.
So,
You are very fast.
yeah, I can understand it might be difficult for some people for some speed. So yeah, you have the speed control. You also have the ability to watch it
Yeah,
multiple times,
I'm.
right? So
Because,
yeah, I got
yes,
your
sir. Thank
point.
you so much, sir.
I will slow it down a bit. Let's
Yes, sir.
reserve all
Thank
these
you so much, sir.
personal comments for some other time.
Yeah, no problem. It's not personal comment, sir. Just a little bit slow
Yeah,
down, sir. Thank you so
okay,
much.
let's continue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if we print using brace expansion 1 dot dot 10, it'll give all the numbers from 1 to 10, and it'll have a step size of 1. You can also optionally have a step size argument. So if you give dot dot 2, then it will go from 1 to 10, and with a step size of 2. So it's the same as how your Python range function works. Right? So just like range, you can also have discrete values. So for example, if I do 1, 3, 7, 11. So this might not be some pattern that we can create, but then I can just give these values in a comma separated manner, and it will just like expand it into all of these. Right. So if what happens is in Bash, this is first expanded, and then all these like space separated arguments are given to the command. So echo does not actually see this. Echo sees this 1 to 10, and then echo basically prints it to this. So similarly, instead of echo, we can use any other command. So we can also use touch or mkdir or any other command, right? So this base expansion is done by the bash shell itself, and then the expanded thing is given to the command. So for example, if I want to create 2 folders, or let's say 10 folders, which has the structure like dir underscore and then the numbers 1 to 10. So then we can just write it like this. So this thing will expand to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But because we also have something along with it, so it won't just expand to that. It will expand to the dir underscore and then that. So we can first see what this will expand to using echo. So as you can see, this will expand to dir1, dir2, dir3, dir4, etc. And instead, if we now do mkdir with this, this will basically create all those folders. So now I can see all those folders are created. And similarly, now inside the folders, if I want to create files, which are let's say A, C, and E, so what I can do is I can do dir 1 dot dot 10. So this will expand to dir 1 to dir 10, and then file A, C, E, or whatever you want to expand this to. So what this will do is this, because we don't have any spaces here, so everything, the entire thing is one word. So how Bash will expand this brace expansion is because there are 2 brace expansions. So it will expand this into a Cartesian product. So for all of these expansions and for all of these expansions, we'll have all the pairs. Right? So for dir1, we'll have A, C, E. For dir2 also, we'll have A, C, E, etc. Right? So this is how the brace expansion works. And then instead of echo, I can just do touch, and it will just create all those files. So now if we do 3, you can see the folders that are there and the files, right? So just using 2 commands, we are able to create a file system hierarchy that follows a basic structure, right? So these are the basics of file system navigation and creating and deleting files. Similarly, you can also delete these using the same way. So instead of touch, you can use rm and then the brace expansion, and you can delete these files as well. Okay, so just let me know if you have any doubts in this.
Sir, can you please repeat the last point where you put right that forward slash? Can you just show that one command?
Yeah, which one? This one?
Yeah, this one. So this is going to basically create multiple directories, and inside that it's going to create those files.
Yeah, so the directories are made using this mkdir command, and
Okay.
then this touch one will create the files inside them.
Inside those directories. Okay, okay. Those 2
Yes,
commands are needed. Okay, understood.
yes.
Thank you.
So basically, as we saw earlier, we in
Uh,
touch we can give multiple command line arguments, right? So because this expands to this, so it is basically a space separated list. So this goes as command line arguments to fetch. And if in fetch we give like all these
So
arguments,
for
it will just create all of them. Yeah.
Science, sir, I have one doubt. My
Yeah.
doubt is that whatever you told, if I put it in a variable, okay, is it
Hmm.
creating an array or is it create? It will going to
so for
create
this,
what
we
it is?
assume that the directory is available.
One second, Prashant. Let me answer one of the doubts. Okay, so if you store this in a variable, if you simply give like a equals, so then what will happen is like if you echo a, this will be a this will not expand at all, right?
Mhm.
So if you let's say if we do it this way, a equals, and then we do 1 dot dot 10, right? So now if I do echo a, so here this is actually a string. So any variable in bash is always a string. So this is a string. But if I want to store this as an array instead, so the what I have to change is the assignment itself. So I have to use the array notation. So here I have to put this inside round brackets. So now if I do echo a, so this I think this is working. So if we basically see the first element, we will see that we get 1. If we see the second element, we get 2. Right? So if you store it this way using the round brackets, then it will like the output of it. This is obviously just like a std out or string. But then if we store it this way, then it is basically delimited by space and stored as separate elements in the array. But if we store it directly, then it is stored as a string.
Yeah, I understand. And another thing is, sir, if you when you expand it as an array, you make a sign of braces sign, echo
Hmm.
dollar. How you use that? I am a bit confused with this. Means
Which one?
when you
This one.
print echo, there is a after dollar there is a braces sign.
Yeah, so this is just a way of accessing individual elements in an array, right? So I think this was there in week 5. So if you have a variable a, which is an array, you can access the first element, second element, etc., using this syntax.
Yeah, sir, clear, sir. Sorry for the detour.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Prashant. Okay, yeah. If you also want access to the PPT, and then let me just push it.
So to create that
Your voice is
to
not clear.
create a file using the brace
Is this lagging for me, or is Prashant's voice lagging for everyone?
It is lagging. It is lagging.
we have to assume that the directory is first available, right?
Prashant, I'm not able to hear it out. I think there's some network issue from your side. Can you see if you are able to fix that? Okay, for people who want access to the slides, I have pushed that. So, again. Okay. All the resources for today's slides you can find in this link. Right, so let's move forward. So this was the brace expansion. So we are not actually going through much details of this. We're just quickly catching up on this. So let's now move into the first important topic that we are going to cover today. Yeah.
Before going to this, like this echo brace expansion will give us a string, right? And that will be space separated, right? There is a space between that.
Yes. So echo is just printing it. The brace expansion will be yes, space separated. And anything in bash, the output of a command, it is basically a string. So if you store it in a variable, it will be a string.
Okay, fine. Thank
you. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's start with the first thing that we are going to cover today. So that is folding and unfolding. So basically, if you have a line that has some length, and if you want to convert that into multiple lines by like breaking it at some point, so then we can use the fold command. Right? So you can see the 1 second. Okay, so if I jump to this, yeah. So you can go to man fold and you can see how the fold command works. So it's a very simple command, doesn't have too many flags. So we will mostly be using the -w. So what the fold command does is, if you let's say have a string like this, right? So if you just print this, it'll just print this to your screen. But if you, let's say, want to fold this into multiple lines where each line is at max 5 letter. So you can just do fold minus W5. Right? So what this will do is it'll read the standard input and it'll, after every 5 characters, it'll add a new line character. Right? So you can see hello and then there's a new line. And then we had a space. So the space will be there. And then we have how and then again another space. Then we have the new line again. Right? So it's basically splitting one line into 5 lines. Right? So this might be useful in some structured data if your data follows a specific structure of a fixed width. Right? So every X characters, you have one data, and then after that, you have another data. So sometimes your data might not be delimited using some symbols such as comma or something, but it might be that all the like fields are of a specific number of width. So in that case, you can use fold to fold it. Right? So let us see one example of fold. One second. So I'll just go through all of them one by one. So we have fold, we have paste, and we have xargs. So hopefully you're also already familiar with xargs. If not, we'll just go through a brief example of xargs. Right, so let's start with one of the examples. Okay. Okay. I think I had a fold. Let me just see. I think I changed the name. Okay, so let me just demonstrate the fold one just like this. So let's say you have a number like this, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you want to simply extract or like each digit into a separate line, so what you can do is you can use fold minus W1, right? So what this will do is instead of the entire thing being in one line, because you're giving a width of 1, it will basically separate out into separate line. So each digit will come in a separate line. So there are multiple uses of this. So if you want to convert like data of one line into multiple lines, you can use fold to do that. So let us now see a way that we can combine fold with some other commands like paste. So for example, we have the paste command. So let us see the paste commands man page. So what the paste command does is it takes multiple files. So it can take one or more files and it'll put it side by side. So this is like putting the two files side by side. So for example, if we have, let's say, two files, one which stores the numbers 1 to 10. So let me store this in file 1. And we have another file which, let's say, stores the number 5 to 50 with a step size of 10. Right? So in SEQ, the middle element is step size, unlike in brace expansion, which is the third element. Right? So it will go start from 5 and increment by 10 every time. So 5, 15, 25, like that, and go till 50. So this I can store in, let's say, file 2. And now I basically have these two files, right? So I have file 1, I have file 2. So now if I just want to put them side by side with corresponding lines side by side, what I can do is I can do paste file 1 and file 2. Right, so now you can see both the files, the first lines are side by side, second are side by side. And because this file has more lines, so in the last few lines, we don't have anything on the right hand side. But this basically takes multiple files and we can even have more files. So I can again give file 1 and this will again come as another column. Right, so this is one way of taking multiple files and putting them side by side. Now here by default, it is putting a tab character between these, but we can also change what character it is. So you can see in the man page, we have the -D flag, which is for delimiter, and you can give a delimiter and that will be used for separating the two things. So here, if I give -D comma, now you can see instead of tab, it is basically separating using comma. Right, so we have 1, 5, 1 and like that. And in the bottom where we don't have data in the middle file, it just is an empty element, right? So it has 2 commas. So the middle element is not there. Right, so let us see now this example. So can anyone guess what this will do? So let me also go through what the -S flag is. So basically, usually you saw in paste, we are giving multiple files. But what we can also do is I can give a single file as well. So if I just give file 1 2 times, so it is coming this way. But if I just give file1 and I do -s, so what it will do is, instead of taking two files and putting them side by side, it will take the each line of the file and put them side by side. Right? So now this is basically, you can think of like the inverse of folding. So in folding, we took one line and made this into multiple lines. And here we took multiple lines. So this file1, we took multiple lines and we put them side by side. Right? So by default, it is putting a tab here, but if I give comma, it will put like this. Right? So we can take one file which has multiple lines and we can put them side by side with any separator. Right? So we already know what sec does. So sec12 will create numbers 1 to 12 in separate lines. So can anyone predict what will be the output of this? Sec12 paste -s d, and then they're giving a empty delimiter.
Yeah, it will matlab,
So
line
what
by line with
will
the
be
spaces. 1 to 12.
1
So
space, 2 space,
In
3
a
space,
single line
like
print,
12.
output.
there will be no space.
Okay.
Continuously, it will print from 1 to 12.
Yes. Right. So because we don't have space here, so these are like two quotes side by side. So if there was a space, it would give space. But otherwise, here this will just put them side by side, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12. If you want space, you can then add a space here, and then it will give you space like this. Right. So that is how, like, the basic usage of
So
space.
these
Yeah.
will be in array or a string.
So again, this is output of a command, right? A command's output is
Ah.
neither array nor string. This is just output. How you store this depends whether it will be array or string.
Can we store it in an array or you have to store it in a string?
So if you want, you can store it in a string. If you if you store it in a variable directly, it will be a string. If you store it in a variable using the round brackets that we saw earlier, right? So then it will be a array. So if I do it this way, base.sh, so then this will be an array. Wait, sorry, not this. So if I execute this and I take its output and store it in an array this way, so then this will be
then A will be an array.
yes, A will be an array. But if you store it directly, then it will be a string.
String.
So output of a command is never doesn't have any data type. It depends on how you store it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So hopefully this is clear how paste works. So now let's move to a few other examples. So similarly, if we have data like this, so let's say I want to generate the first 12 numbers, right? So I want to do sec12. So I have like this. And now I don't want to put all of them in the same line. Rather, I want to, let's say, have two elements in the same line. So I want 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and then 5, 6, like that. Right? So there are different ways of doing this. One way is we can just use the xargs. So if you know, xargs is basically used for taking in lines from the standard input and building a command line for any command. So if I just do xargs and then echo, yeah, someone has summed out.
Sir, can we use
Yeah.
delimiter with fold command also, or it is also only available with paste?
No, so fold is for like breaking in line by line, using a fixed width. So if you see in fold, so you can just go through the man page. So here you can either like break by number of bytes, or you can break by width, or so how S works is fold line after the last blank character. So what this will do is it will not break in between a word. It will basically preserve words, right? So, but it cannot use a delimiter because it is not meant for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So what the xargs does is it will basically, so here I am piping, right? So it will take a standard input which will have multiple lines, and it will put all of the lines side by side to the command that we are running. So for example, if I run with echo, so if I do xargs echo, so what this will do is it will run echo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So what will that do? It will just print 1 to 12 on the screen, right? So it will be side by side and space separated, because these are just arguments to the echo. But in xargs, another thing I can do is I can specify exactly how many lines to take for each invocation. So if you see -n, So here you can also specify how many lines you want to take in one invocation. So here what it is doing, it is running echo only once. And it is running echo with all of the arguments one after the other. But if I give minus and 2, so what it will do is it will take 2 lines and it will put it side by side for the parameters of echo and it will run echo. Then it will take the next 2 lines, 3 and 4, and it will again put them side by side of echo, parameters of echo and run it. Right? So it will run echo total of 6 times. So if I run this, you can see we are getting something like this. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is basically what we are doing in this script. So if I do bash xargs.sh, so if I give 12 here and 3 here, so can you predict what will be the output of this? You can go through the script in the top tile. So this we are just storing it in an M.
So
It
1,
will
2,
be
3,
like a matrix,
4, 5, 6 in next line.
square matrix. 1, 2,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yes, right. So it will have 3 elements in each line. So it will be like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Similarly, if I give 12 and 4, it will be like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right. So this is a simple way of like taking like a folded thing and unfolding it. But here the limitation is it will always just have space as delimiter, right? So we cannot change the delimiter. So instead of this, what we can do is we can use paste for this. But as we saw, paste, so if we go back to man of paste, so I can use minus s for this. So if I do sec12 and if I do paste minus sd, right? So if I give space here, as you can see, everything comes on the same line. So how can I ensure some of them come on the same line and some come on the separate line? Right. So the magic happens because in D, this is not actually one delimiter. This is a list of delimiters. And whatever delimiters I give in this list, they will be used one by one. And if we run out of delimiters, we will again start again from the first delimiter. So for example, instead of space, if I give comma, this will be just all of them will be comma. But if I give comma, colon, and then let's say hyphen, then what will happen is it will use all those delimiters one by one. So first will be comma, then colon, then hyphen. And then because now we have run out of delimiters, we again start from the left. So again, we give comma, colon, hyphen. Right? So we basically cycle through the delimiters. And it doesn't have to be a like proper multiple. So if I give, let's say 5 delimiters, it will go through the first 5 and then it will again start and go through the first 5 and then in the next one it will just have 1, right? So it doesn't have to exactly divide the total number of delimiters we need. So it'll just keep on using them in a cyclic manner. Right. So now the trick that we can use is I can use space as the first delimiter and I can use \n, which basically means new line for the next delimiter. So what will happen? I'll get 1 and then I'll get space 2 and then I'll get new line, which basically means it goes to the next line. Right. So then I get again 3 space 4. So using this trick, what we can do is we can also specifically count, like have that many items in a line. So instead of 2, if I want 3, I can give 3 spaces, right? And we can have 3 elements in a line. So one benefit of this is we can have other delimiters other than space also. So I can have comma, so which was not possible in the xargs use case. So let me know if this is clear. I know this is a bit complicated at first, but if you just see how the minus D works, it should be clear enough.
Sir, one question I have regarding the
Yeah.
script.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So line number 6. So you have put it comma $9 sequence comma $9. Okay, not comma.
Quotes.
Quotes. Yeah. $9. So is this quotes are mandatory to write?
No, so quotes basically it is encouraged because it is a variable, right? So if you're expanding a variable, it can expand to anything. So usually we know, so if we are giving a number, it will just be a number. But I can also give multi-word thing, right? So I can write multiple words and I can press enter. So if there's a space, then if I don't give the quotes, it will expand to SEQ and then first word space, second word. So SEQ, so in case of SEQ, anyway, it will give you an error. But let's say for some other commands, for example, if I want to use RM and I want to delete some file. So now if the file name is something like file equals my file.txt. So if I just give rm $file, this will expand to rm my space file.txt. And RM will think my is the first argument and file.txt is the second argument. And it will try to find a file named my. It will not be present, so it will give an error. Then it will try to find a file called file.txt. That is, if it's present, it will delete it, which is not what we want. If not, it will give you an error again. And it will not delete this file, my file.txt. Right? So if I want to preserve spaces and treat it as one argument, we have to quote it, even if we're expanding a variable. So
So
then it will correct it.
if it is a number, then also quotes work.
Yeah, quotes work, but it is not strictly required, but it works, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, here ST
Yeah.
stand for what?
Sorry? Which
ST?
thing?
ST,
SEQ.
sir, ST. No, not SEQ. For the paste you used ST.
Okay, yeah. So S stands for like work on the one file itself. So instead of pasting multiple files, we just paste the lines of the same file. So like we saw earlier. And D is for the delimiter. So I'm specifying this delimiter. So you can also specify them separately like this, minus S minus D. So as you can see, minus S is this one. So it concatenates all the lines of each separate input file instead of taking multiple files. And D is just the delimiter list that we are providing.
Okay, sir.
Oh, so let's move on to, so we've seen xargs and this. So let's see this series sum. 1 second. Okay. So here what we are doing is, first we are taking the number n from the user, and then we are doing seq n. So what will this output? The first part of this.
It will generate a sequence.
So what will be the sequence? Like if I
So
give,
if
let's
it
say,
is 6, then it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
yes. So all the numbers from 1 till that number. Right. So then what we're doing is paste minus SD plus. So can anyone tell what this will be?
So it will create, sir, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 probably.
It will all
Yes.
add all the numbers from
Yes. And then finally we're giving it to BC, right, which is our calculator. So what will happen is if I do SEQ
Oh,
5, it will give these numbers. Now if I do paste, sorry, SD plus, so it will add all of them. It will just put them like this. And then if I give it to BC, it will just give you the evaluation of this mathematical expression. Right. So if I run this series sum, if I give 5, we can get the sum of the first 5 integers. Or 10, I can get the first 10.
So sir, I write a 10, 5 lines of code for this. Is a 1 line.
Yes, exactly. Right. So this is also another way of showing that in general, if you're writing, let's say in C, C++, usually some parts of Python. So how you will do is you will write an iterative approach. So you will, or imperative approach. So you will do what to do one by one. Whereas in Bash, what you can do is usually you can follow a functional approach. So instead of telling what to do, you tell what to, like instead of telling how to do something, you tell what to do. So you tell, I just want the first n numbers. I want to have them side by side with plus, and then I want to evaluate them. And then you let the individual tools take care of what they do best, right? So, and you can just like put them all together using pipes. So that is basically the power of pipes in Linux. So if you have small programs that just do one small thing, you can easily like put them together and do a complicated task.
Great, sir.
So
What does BC stand for?
Sir, what is the VC command?
so BC is basic calculator. So this will take any expression that you give and give the output of that. So for example, if I do 1 plus 3 times 5 minus 7, if I give it to BC, it will give you the value of this expression.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Yeah. That's all. No.
SD, sir, hyphen SD.
So we just explained hyphen SD, right? So hyphen S is for
Yeah.
taking each line of the file and putting them side by side. And D specifies what is the delimiter. So if you don't provide that, it will be tab by default. But if you provide plus, it will be plus. So every line separated by the plus will be present in one line.
Okay, sir, copy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's, yeah.
Sir, if I put multiplication signs, then
Yes.
it will multiplies all the values from 1 to 10.
Yes. So yeah, that is what I was going to come to after this. So if you want to find the factorial of n instead, so what you can do is instead of doing plus, you can do multiplication, right? So times. So this will now give you the factorial. So 5 factorial is 120, 6 factorial is 720, like that. So note that I used quotes here. So this is because if I don't quote it, then like bash will by default expand this to all the files in our directory and it will give you error, right? So the same as what we saw in the previous BPT3 session also, right? So just make sure if
But
you're
when
using
you
a
say
glob,
plus
you
sign,
quote
it
it.
does not give an error.
Yeah, because plus is not a bash glob, right? Question mark and star, these are bash globs, like for file system, file matching globs.
Sir, so here, if we give plus and multiplication both in the string, so then it
Yes.
will be sum of two numbers and then multiplying them, it will be like that format.
Yes, yes, exactly. So you're catching on way faster than I expected, right? So that is what we are going to come to after this. Okay, so let me go through one by one. So factorial we already saw. So I'll just open it and let you go through it for a few seconds if you have any other doubts. So either you can quote it like this or you can escape it using a backward slash. Both do the same thing, right? So instead of plus, if you do multiplication, it will give you the factorial. Right? So hopefully this is fine with everyone. So we'll move on. Right. So similarly, we can also do the sum of digits, right? So okay, so can anyone now seeing from what we have done till now? Let's say I have a number 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. So how can I get the sum of the digits of this?
First we can use fold minus W1, then
Your voice is not clear. Can you speak a bit loudly?
we can use fold
Yes.
minus W1,
Yes.
then we can use paste and give plus as de delimiter, then BC.
Yeah, plus. Yes. So this will make it like this and then BC. Right. So exactly. So as you can see now, basically I can take any number that is given to me and I can find the sum of its digits. Right. So that is what we do in this script. So here we're actually reading the number from the user. So if I do, so here I can give any number. So let's say I give something like this. So it will tell me the sum of all the digits. So it is, so you can either do this or you can do it as you said, right? So you can do fold minus W1. So I'll also explain the other method, but this also works, right? So 1, 2, 4, 6, 3, 4, 6, 3. So this will also give you the same thing. So fold minus W1, what this will do is it will break the digits into separate lines. Then paste will again put it back in the same line, but with a plus between them. And then BC will find its sum. So instead of fold, what I had done in the script was using grep minus O dot. And the reason is because I also want to now slowly nudge you into this direction. So what grep will do is if I, let's say, have this. So if I do grep and then dot, so dot, what does dot mean? It means any character, right? So it can match any character. So this will match. So it looks like it is matching this entire thing, but it is actually not matching this entire thing. It is matching each of the digit one by one. So 1 is a match, 2 is a separate match, 3 is a separate match, and so on. Right. So now if you see the man page of grep, there is a flag minus O. And what this will do is it will print only what is matching. So for example, if I do echo hello, how are you? And if I want to grep hello, or let's say if I want to grep how, so if I do this, it will just print the line that has the match and it will highlight the line. But if I do minus O, then it will only print the match for each line, right? But another feature of minus O is if there are multiple matches per line, it will actually put them in separate lines. So for example, if I make this how are you? So now, if I don't have the minus O, this will just highlight both the hows separately. So this is one match, this is one match. But if I have the O, it will actually put them in separate lines. So now the benefit that we have is if I do something like this, so this is matching each character. So if I now do minus O, it will just put all of them in a separate line. So this is same as doing fold minus W1, right? Because it's putting it in the separate lines. But the benefit of this is I can now extract this digit from anywhere. So for example, if instead of just giving this, if I say my number is this, and then I have a full stop. If I do fold W1, this will fold the entire line, right? So you can see it will be M, Y, space, all of this. But instead of fold W1, so if I do grep minus O dot, still it will be the same thing because I'm matching everything. But now, instead of dot, so what can I put so that only digits are matched?
So it will be
0 to 9.
Yes, 0 to 9. Yes, right. So this will match only digits here, and I will put this on separate lines. And if you want to, instead of matching, like putting on separate lines, if you just want to extract it, you can give a plus here. So which means like as many digits as it can match. So it will only extract the digit, like the number, and put it in one line. But if you actually want them to be in separate lines, you can remove the backslash plus, and it will put it like this. So then we can again do the same thing. Yeah.
so one thing is that sir, you avoid to use the grep and instead of using slash. Is it purposefully or something?
No, so you can use E also. So it's the same thing. So I sometimes I forget to give the E. So instead of going back and then typing E, I just give a backslash. But both are like the both will work the same way. So that is BRE and this is ERE.
Okay, but it is not adding now.
Yeah, it is, I think. So because because I just have one line, right? So because I am using this plus. So if I don't have this plus, then anyway I don't need the E. So then it will add. Right? So we can add the like sum of the digits this way. So next one is okay. So some few of you actually got this, right? So basically what I'm telling is, let's say I have two vectors, right? So hopefully you're familiar with what vectors are. So if you let's say have two vectors, 1, 5. So this is one vector that you have, and you have 10, sorry, 5, 10, 50. So hopefully they're of same side. Yes. So let's say you have two vectors. So this is one vector and this is one vector.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, grep command just used for extracting the some data from a particular information, or
Yes.
it can be used just for the highlighting the special characters.
Yes, it can also be used for like extracting which lines have a match and highlighting the matches. But like when we are doing it like for evaluation, usually like highlighting and all that, those are like NC escape code. So they are anyway stripped out. So they don't match. But yeah, when you're working like on something and you want to see where something is, that is usually how grep is used. So you don't use minus O. You see, because you want the context. So where this word is present. So you want to see the lines. And you can even like see a few lines before and after. So using minus B, minus A. So you can go through those. So if you want to see the context, you can see the line, you can see previous and next lines. But if you want to extract a pattern, then you use minus O.
Okay, sir, got it. Thanks.
Yeah. So let's say you have two vectors. So this is one vector, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is another vector. So if you now want to find the dot product of these two, so how will you do that? So first of all, let's define what dot product is. So for dot product, you basically need to multiply the corresponding elements, and then you want to find the sum of those. So it will be 1 into 5 plus 2 into 15 plus 3 into 25 plus 4 into 35 plus 5 into 45. Right? So that is basically how a dot product is. So if you're doing it in a like normal language, or if you're doing it in Bash also using while loops and for loops, what you will do is you will read both the lines and you will read the first element of both lines and you multiply them, then add it to a sum variable and all that. But here, what we can do is we can just use the paste and the paste command for our benefit and the BC command. Right. So let me show it first in a simpler way. So let's say I store this as vec1. So this is a file called vec1, and I store this as vec2. And so what I've done is I just have the files now. I have vec1 and I have vec2. So now, as we saw, paste can also work without minus s with two files, right? Or two or more files. So I can do vec1, vec2. And now you can see they are put side by side. So now, instead of side by side, if I just want multiply between them, what do I do?
Minus HT.
So we won't have s, right? Because I don't want to do 1 times 2 times 3. I want 1 times 5, 2 times 15. Like that.
So minus D multiplication.
Yes. Right. So now we have it this way. Right. So now how can we evaluate this?
BC.
Yes. Yes, and one more thing about BC is if you have multiple lines of expression, it will evaluate all of them one by one and give the output in that same order, right? So now I have 1 times 5 as 5, 2 times 15 as 30, and like this, right? So now I have multiplied the corresponding elements of the vectors. Now how can I add these together?
Again paste
Yeah,
minus.
then,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Now, but this time we will use minus s, right? Because I want to take this one input itself. So now if I give plus, so now this will be like this. Finally, I can give this to BC again, and I can get the dot product, right? 475. So this is what we have done in dot. Right. So, okay, I'll explain now the different way that we have done now. So another thing to note is what we are doing is two things multiplied and then again two things multiplied and then added. So if I actually don't do this BC, then also it will be fine because what will happen is I'll get something like this. And by the normal order of operations, the multiplication anyway will happen first. So it is fine. But if you wanted to do the reverse thing, if you wanted to do plus and then times, so then you have to actually evaluate in the middle step. So here, this also gives the correct answer. But if you had wanted to do 1 plus 5 whole into 2 plus 15, in that case, you have to put the BC in between.
So this time, why aren't we putting both the multiplication plus in one paste command?
Okay, so because that is not what we want, right? So see, if we just have these, like these are the two vectors. So if I just do multiply and plus, so it will be like we won't get any output, right? Because I just have two files and I just have one separator between them. So every time it will just use multiply. If I have multiple files or if I am using minus s to just read the lines itself, then it will be useful. So here, let's say, for example, if I do vec1 again, so then it will be like this 1 times 5 plus 1. But if we are just using two files here, then it will at max only use one delimiter, right? So here we cannot use multiple. So we have to do it in two steps. First, we have to multiply the corresponding elements, and then we have to basically do paste again for the plus for each element. Yeah. And then you can do this. Right. So now let us. So basically, what we did in the start was we stored them as files. So usually, if you just want to get output of a command as a argument to like as a file argument to a command, you don't really need to store it as a file because again you have to delete the file. So you can just use process substitution. So you can just do paste sec1 5 and sec5 10 50. Right. So what this will do is it will execute this and it will execute this. It will store this as a temporary file somewhere and it will just give path of those files to the command. So you can verify by using echo that what is given is just some path, right? So dev fd11, dev fd12. So fd stands for file descriptor. So these are some pseudo files or FIFO files. Right. So they are not really real files. So as soon as this is done, like this command is done, files are also deleted automatically. So it saves you the headache of creating a file, deleting a file. So you can directly run command and its output will be stored in a temporary file and given the file's path will be given here. So I can directly do paste and I can see like I can have this. And then obviously I can use minus d star and I can get it like this. Right. So that is what we are doing in .sh. So I've shown it step by step. So first, basically, we just do paste and then the two vectors. So they're just side by side. Then we give minus d star. So we have, instead of tab, we have star between them. Then if I pass it through BC, so I just get the evaluation of each of those components. And then finally, I can do a plus, like a paste SD plus to again get them side by side with plus. And then I can finally do another BC to get the output. And here we have seen that even if we don't do the intermediate BC, for this case, the output comes the same. However, let's say I change this to plus and this to star in both of these commands. So here the output will be different in both of the commands because here, as you can see, this and this are different because here what we are doing is if we are doing it like if you're evaluating it first, then it is fine. But if you're not, then it won't actually do the plus first because order of operations times is more has more precedence. Right? So that is a small thing to note. So to be safe, just always do the BC, so you don't have to worry about it. Right? So this is how you can find the dot product. So this was a simple example where you already have the numbers, like you just you created it using SEQ, right? So you didn't extract it from anywhere. So now what we will see is, so before that, just tell me if this was clear, the dot product.
Yes, sir.
So
Okay.
one thing,
Yeah.
what is ENV? What is difference between bash and ENV bash? We're writing ENV bash.
Yeah, so usually, like, if you know where the bash is present, you can just make it like this, user bin bash or bin bash. But in not all systems will have it that way. So for example, in here, if I see bash, you can see my bash is not in, so this bin bash is actually old. So if I do bin bash, right, minus v, so this is bash 3.2, right? So this is not the bash I want to run. Whereas if I do /opt homebrew bin bash, so here this is bash 5.2. So I want to run this bash. However, because if I just write bin bash in my like this shebang, it will automatically take the bash 3.2. However, in my type A, you can see this is coming at top. So if I just write bash here in my command, it will correctly open the 5.2. So that is what I want. I want the env to find wherever bash is. So I assume that bash is present in my path and open that bash. I don't want to hard code the path of bash. So
So the
that is the difference.
argument same, right? It doesn't matter because you are just putting the like which cupboard you want to put your things. That is the only thing is there.
No, so the difference is if you have multiple bash and the not all bash support everything. So for example, bash 3.2 will not support
User
switch
bin
case.
bash.
At 3.2 will not support.
Switch case. So if you have switch case in your script, and if you just do bin bash, and if someone has bin bash set to bash 3.2, then they won't be able to run the script because it will give error in a switch case statement. So that's why
So
it is better
which,
practice to have env.
so what is the highest? The env bash is the highest bash.
No, if you give env bash, whatever has highest precedence, that will be run. But if you give bin bash, you are hard coding the path, right? So in some systems, bin bash might not even exist. It might exist somewhere else. So you don't know where your script will be run. So for the
So
OPP, it's fine because
what
you know
about
where the bash is present. Yeah.
user bin bash?
Okay. So the thing is, if you go to the VM, if you see what is user bin, you can see, okay, it's not showing here. Maybe it's not in this VM. But usually / user bin is just a sibling to the /bin or the other way around, I think. 1 second.
So for the set, it will
Yeah.
become the bin env dash env set dash f like that.
Yes, you can also give directly the path of set because in VM you know where it is and your script is not
So
being run in an arbitrary place. But yeah, so for someone who was asking about bin and user bin, so bin is nothing but same as user bin only. They are sibling to each other. So that in our
sir,
VM,
but in
but in
OPPE we have to use user bin or just bin?
all three will work. So as I said, they are siblings. So user bin bash and
Bin bash.
bin bash are exactly the same thing because they are sibling to each other. But in some systems, bin user bin
No,
and bin are
no.
separate.
For this particular OPP,
Yeah,
when
please
we are
tell for
writing the
particular OPP.
programs or
Yes, so
scripts,
they're both are
or
fine. Both will work
both
exactly.
are fine. Huh?
Yes, both
No,
are the
means
same.
here we don't have to specify that env bash and
No,
all.
no, no, you don't need to. Even if you're
Okay.
doing it, it is fine. But even if you don't do it, it's fine.
Sir,
Yes.
could you go to the
Thank you, sir.
last line of dot.sh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
Okay. Okay. So hopefully now that the dot
Sir,
is clear. Yeah.
sir, if you don't write shebang, then by default will it take 5.2?
So by default, it will run on whatever shell you're running. So for example, here I'm running ZSH, so it will run in ZSH instead. If someone is running fish, it will run in fish. So if you don't give the shebang, wherever you're running it from, that shell will be run.
So in this case, it will be 5.2. Or which one?
Yeah. So, no, in this case, I'm not running bash at all. I'm running ZSH. So if
Sir,
you see shell, it is ZSH. It will run ZSH.
so
So
we
what
have to
is
run
the
the we
Sorry?
have to run we have to run synchro eval only, no? For
Yes.
the
Control.
uh,
Yes.
And it will take this bin bash properly, no?
So I think in our evaluation scripts, we are hard coding it to run with bash itself. So your shebang won't matter. So whatever you shebang you write, that will be ignored as a comment because it is we are not running it as dot slash. We are running it basically this way. So bash and then dot dot. So
And
yeah,
can we
if
see
I'm
the evaluation files, sir?
yeah, you can see them just like your
Huh.
BPTs and other.
BPTs,
Yes, yes,
just
yes, it's
like
the same.
BPTs.
Yes, yes, yes.
No, because if we have some error and we want to see where it is going wrong, can we
Yes,
see
yes.
the input output files and the evaluation file?
Yes, you can see for the public test case, the input and the expected output, and also the eval script.
Not the private cases.
No, that won't be visible.
Okay.
Sir, can you
So
show us, please?
how can we say and how can we see?
So you can go through, one second. You can go through this video, right? OPPE tips and tricks. We have gone through how to do all that in this video.
Okay, sir. Copied.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's move forward. So hopefully the dot was clear. So what is the next thing that we want is I have a file like this. Right? So this is not a very structured data. As you can see, this is a file where I have given two vectors, right? So I've told A equals this vector, comma, B equals this vector. And now I want to find the dot product of these two vectors. So can anyone tell how we can do this?
We can combine cut command also with this. You can say paste and cut command, other things. I think.
Yes. Right. So, okay. So first of all, how can I extract the first vector using cut command?
We can use complement.
We can
Cut,
use
cut minus the
cut minus D.
delimiter as I think pipe. Pipe is
Yes. Okay. And then which field?
first.
Okay. So if I give first field, the first field is this. Oh, sorry, I
Oh,
didn't
first
give the
field.
file. Yeah.
Second.
Second field, right? So the first field is this left side. So second field will give you the first vector. And then for the second vector, I need the fourth field.
Fourth
Right?
field.
So I can get both the vectors this way. And now it's pretty simple, right? So you can just put this in paste the same way that we did. I can do paste and then cut. So this is basically what we did, right? So cut delimiter by pipe F2. So this will give you this vector. And then F4 will give you this vector. And I can just put those as the two files for paste. So here you can see now the power of this process substitution, right? So I don't have to first run this and store it in a file and then run this and store it in a file and then use those files in paste and then delete those files. I can directly put them like this, right? And then D star will just multiply each corresponding element and then SD plus will add them and then BC will find the sum, right? So exactly what we did. So if you want to be productive, you can give a BC between. Yeah.
So how would you auto filling these commands even without writing them?
So because I had written this earlier and because I have a few shell extensions in my ZFX, so it basically searches your history and fills it.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I was preparing these slides, I was testing these out, right? So I wrote this.
Yes.
Right. So that is one way. Another way we can do is I can just extract the numbers from this. So how can I do that? Can anyone tell me? If I just want to extract the numbers from this file.
Grep.
Yes. So I can use grep hyphen ho. And then what will be the thing that I want to match?
0 to 9.
0 to 9. Okay. So will I put a plus here? I think it doesn't matter, but yeah. Yeah. So if I do grep 0 to 9, so it will match only the numbers here. So if I now do this, now you can see it has put it in separate lines. And now thankfully for us, like if there are multiple matches in the same line, it will put it in separate lines in the same order that they came in the line, right? So 5, 7. So it output is 5 and then 7 and then 2 and then 2. So now if I just want to multiply consecutive elements and add them, what can I do?
Paste.
Yes,
Just
paste.
use
And what will be the flags that we're using?
paste
Delimiter
to
plus.
Okay, so first of all, we have to use S because we're working on this one SCDN.
Okay.
And D. Yeah, so what will be the delimiter?
A plus.
Backend slash.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, not just plus, right? So what I want to do is I want to multiply the two elements
Backslash
and
n.
then
Backend slash n, sir.
Multiplying and
okay.
Can also be delimited.
Okay, so okay, you're thinking in two steps. Yes. So what you want is you want to have them one by one and then backslash n like this. Right. But what I can do is I can directly put plus here. Right. So this will give me something like this. 5 times 7 plus 2 times 2 plus 6 times 3. Right. And yeah, I agree. Like this is more like generic. So even if I want plus in between and then multiply with the groups, then that will be the correct way to do. But here, because anyway, the order of precedence works with us, so I can directly do this in one line. Right? So I can do star and plus. So every alternately, I'll get star plus, and then I can just do BC here. Right. And I can get the output. So
Sir, we
these are
cannot use
the,
fold here.
yes. We cannot do?
Can we use fold here, like grep O009?
No, so
Fold.
fold works with a fixed width, right? So here, how will you fold with a fixed width? Because, okay, here actually it is in fixed width, but it won't
Yeah.
it won't come just 5, right? So it'll, if you're, let's say, doing, so let's see once again. If I do fold minus W, I think it's 5 or 6. Let us see. Oh, okay, not 5. Yeah, so if I use 6, I'll get all of them in the left side, but you'll also have some other things, right? So it'll
Okay.
always have 5 things in one line.
It's taking that mod also in like a different character also.
Yeah, so fold cannot do that. So fold can only split by fixed width. So in this case, grep is more useful here. Right. So now let us see basically. So we already saw how to do it, but I'll just open this. So big dot. Yeah. So here basically what we're doing is we are extracting the two vectors and then putting it in paste, and then first we are doing a multiply and then we are doing a plus. Similarly, we can also just use grep here. So I can use so this is what
बनाने को कही थी खाली.
you're not muted. Yeah, thanks. So you can see if I do, yeah. Oh, I forgot to give the file name. Right. So you can see. Oh, I think I forgot to give the plus here. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see we get the same answer, right? So we get the dot product. And similarly, we can do the other thing also, which you were saying. So first we can do multiply and then BC, and then again paste minus S D plus, and then again BC. Right, so this will also give you the, why is it not giving you the correct answer? 1 second. So if I do multiply, sorry. Okay, yeah, multiply and then space, right? Sorry. If I do multiply and space, sorry, not space, backslash n. So now two things will be multiplied, and then again the third and fourth will be multiplied in the next line. So then if I do BC here, so this should also work. Right? So yeah, thanks for pointing this out. This is another way of solving it. So there are 3 ways of solving this question. So you can see now from this very unstructured file, we were able to extract the vectors and do the dot product of the vectors in just one line. So these are 3 different ways of doing that. And it's not even very like complex or too many commands. We can do it in the minimum in just 3 commands.
So one question, this bash dot big underscore dot sh, what actually is doing? Because that this one we know you are writing this one, then we put the dot slash script dot sh, whatever it may be, is give us the output. But what about this bash big dot sh and all this thing? What they are doing actually?
Yeah, so this is just like you run a sed script or a awk script. So instead of me telling my interpreter to just run this and figure out how to run this, so it can figure out using the shebang that it has to run in bash. So instead of that, I'm just telling bash to take this file and run this. So whatever I put here, if I put Python also now, it will not match because now if I run it this way, it will give you an error. So Python cannot run this. So you will get this Python error. But if I do bash big dot, so this is just taking, and it is ignoring the first line because it doesn't need to know what interpreter to run because I'm telling it to run in bash. So it will just run this using bash.
Okay, so it will work in VM, or we have to use like, or we are go through the like normal procedure that we are going.
Yeah, yeah. So in VM anyway, you won't be running your script yourself. That will be called by the evaluator script. And
Yeah,
usually in the
simple
evaluator
well.
script, it will call, yeah. So it will be called using bash itself. So your shebang doesn't really matter that much.
Okay, this is just for the
Mm.
output you are showing, so it will show quickly the output what are coming. So for our understanding only,
Mm.
you are you right, correct?
Yeah, yeah. But if you're running it this way, then you need the shebang. But if you're running from bash, then even if you don't have the shebang, it will run correctly.
Okay, sir, copy.
Okay. So let me see if I have something else. Okay, I think I had this. I think I forgot. Yeah, the other way that I put in that file, I had this here. Right, so we saw the two or three ways of finding the dot of this unstructured vectors. So let's take a 5 minutes break and then I'll be back by 8:20.
Okay.
So let us continue. So we've covered folding and unfolding. So let's move on to bash scripting. Right? So bash scripting in itself is a very big topic. I obviously won't be able to cover all of this. So you can go through again, as I mentioned, you can go through the OPP revision that we had, right? So OPP revision. This is again in the system comments channel. So you can go to OPPE revision 1 where we went through the bash revision. So here we'll just cover a few of the important topics for the OPPE. Right. So in bash scripting, a few of the things that we can do is obviously we can first of all read lines or read input from the stdn using the read command. Right. So let me open the examples that we have. Okay. So let's say I have this data.csv. Right. So I'll actually print it here. Right. So let's say I have a data like this where I have I have a CSV file where the first line is the header, name, age, salary, and then we have data like this, right? So it's some employee data. We have the name, we have the age, we have the salary, right? So if I want to, first of all, read this data, but I don't want the header, right? So we can do this using the tail command. So if I use the tail -n+2, so you can see how the tail command works. So tail command displays only the last part of a file. So for example, if I do tail n2 of data.csv, it will print only the last 2 lines. Right? So sometimes I want to print like last X lines, so I can just give that number. So 2 or 3 or 4. But sometimes I don't know how many last lines, but I know that I want to skip the first line. So in that case, I can use plus. So if I do +2, so it will basically print everything from the second line till the end. Right? So now I can see it starts from John and goes till the end. So that is how the tail -n+2 works. So you have also seen this in your BPT week, like BPT 3. Right. So just make sure you know this way of ignoring the header. There are other ways of ignoring the header also. So we will see this once we move into sed and up.
Can you repeat the tail n-1 something from that one?
Yeah, so if you use tail -n+2, so it will print all the lines except the first line. Similarly, if I do tail -n+3, so then we will start from the third line. Right? So whatever the number you give is plus, that line till the end we will print. Right? Another way to do this is using sed1d. Right? So if you do sed1d data.csv, it will drop the first line and all other lines will be printed by default. So we'll see this when we go to sed. But even without sed, you can do that using the tail -n+2. Right? So that is how you get the header. Right? So to iterate over our data in which might be present in a file, we can use read. So if I do read and then some variable name, and I read it from this data.csv, if I don't give this input redirection, it will read from the stdn. So if I write here hello, so that will be stored in this variable. However, if I actually redirect this to data.csv, the input, then what this will do is it will read the first line. So it read only reads one line. So now if I do echo var, it stores the first line in the variable var. Right? Now read can also read multiple variables from that line. So what I can do is I can say echo hello, how are you? And I can read word 1, word 2, word 3, word 4. And now if I do echo w1, you can see only hello is stored. W2, only how is stored. Right? So if I have a space separated input, like each line is space separated, I can just give multiple variables in read, and it will just store the first word in the first variable, second in second, third in third, and everything else in the fourth one. So
delimiter or not required for this one?
So by default, it is space, but if it is not, then we'll see how we can specify the delimiter.
Okay.
So, yes, so if you don't have as many variables as the values, it will not give you an error. Rather, it will store the first word in first, second in second, and then everything else in the third one. So W1 remains same. 1 second. W1 is hello, W2 is how. But because now we just have one variable for everything else, it will store RU in the third variable. And so this is also useful if you want to like just extract the second variable. So you can give some variable name, then the second variable name, and then rest, right? So because anyway, you don't want to work with the rest of them. So you can just club them together. So that is how read works by default.
So if the words are separated by comma, then how do we specify in read?
Yes, so then we have to use the IFS variable. So if let's say I have this data, right? So if I do read name, age, salary, and I take data.csv, if I do echo name, you can see in name itself, I have the entire header. So it is not splitting by comma. So if I want to split by comma, I have to set IFS equals comma before read. So this sets it only for this subshell which is running this command, not for the entire shell. So now if IFS is comma, it will split by comma. So now I can do echo name, it will store name, echo age will store age, and echo salary will store salary. Right? So I can use IFS to split the lines using any delimiter. Right? So that is how IFS works. And now instead of reading only one line, if I want to read all of the lines, I can just put this inside a while loop. So I can say while IFS equals comma read. So I can either read the entire line or I can read like separately. And then inside the loop, if I just echo, let's say name, and I have to also give the data.csv. So then you can see I just get the first column, right? So name, John, Sarah, Paul, right? So
Sir, one
instead of,
important doubt.
yes.
Sir, this class is for the system command or Linux?
I think it is for both. So it is for the OPP revision. So because OPP syllabus is same.
Okay,
So
sir.
yeah, I think it's for both.
No, actually, in the group. That's why I'm thinking I'm in the wrong class. That's why.
No. So this is definitely for system commands, but I think it's also for Linux. Okay. So
Sir.
yeah.
Here you give three space separated argument and receive in three
Yeah.
variables. If the number don't match,
Hmm.
then will it produce any error or it will take the first three and assign them to the variables?
Yeah, so we saw it. So if we have less variables, it will just club the everything else in the last variable. It will not give you any errors.
Okay,
So if
last
you
variable will contain every
Mm.
other thing. And
Yes.
if the number of variables are more than the number of arguments.
Then it doesn't matter, I think. Like it won't give you any error. So it will still store it correctly. Name will be name, age will be age, and salary will be salary. And the last variable that we are trying to read, it will be empty because we don't have anything. So it will be
Oh,
empty
so
string.
it will just null value. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so this way basically we can run read as many times as we have input, and each time read will basically just read the next line. Right? So
Sir,
this is how
one
we,
thing,
yeah, yeah.
sir. It's a very good technique. Sir, yes, sir, tail minus n2. How I put it here? Tail minus n plus 2 you have written.
Yes, so we'll see that. I think I have done that here. So what we do here is I can just take tail minus n plus 2 data.csv, and that will output the data without the header, and then I can pipe that to the while loop. So instead of taking the input redirection, I can give the output like this as a pipe. Right, so it's the same thing. So I can do tail minus n plus 2 data.csv, and then I can give it to while, and then I can say IFS is comma, read like a variable A, B, C, and then I do echo A. So here I get the first column. Similarly, so you can see the first row is not there, name is not there. We start directly with John. Right, so hope this is clear. Right, so let us see what this is doing. So this first script, this is basically finding
Function of
all.
IFS, if you don't mind, sir. Function of IFS.
So this splits the each row by that symbol and stores them in the separate
Or just like
variables.
the split in the Python is splitting
Yes.
the. Okay, copied.
Yes. So here what we're doing is we are basically seeing, we are iterating over each row except the first row. And for each row, we are getting the three different variables. And we are seeing if the age is greater than 30, then we are printing the name. So what this is doing is, if I run this will print all those people whose age is greater than 30. Right, so why is it 30? So this is basically we are taking either the first argument, or if it is not present, then 30. So I can also specify, for example, if I specify 15, I get all of the data because all of them are elder than 15. If I make it 40, then I get only one data, which is greater than 40. Right? So I can also give the argument $1. So if $1 is present, I use that. If it is not present, then by default I use 30. Right? So this is how we can iterate over data. So hopefully I've already seen this. This was part of BPT3. So how you can iterate over data and how you can exclude the header using
I
tail.
don't understand this minus GT then $1. I don't understand this part, sir.
Okay, so what is $1 inside of our script? Like if
$1
we just
first argument, whatever
yes,
you
so
are.
if first argument, and if you have a variable equals something, and if you do this right, so var colon dash default, right? So what does this do?
No, I don't know this.
Okay, so
It
we are
will
in week
try
5.
to
Assign the
delete.
default value.
Yes. So what happens is if you have this variable set and if it is not empty string, then this will just print the value of that variable ASDF SF. But if it is not present, so if I did not declare it, then this will output whatever I give after this dash. So it will output default.
But why you put minus 30?
So I'm just taking the value of, so it's not minus 30. So this colon and hyphen is the syntax. I have given 30. So 30 is the default value I'm taking. So if I don't provide, then I'm checking if all the people who are greater than 30 years of age. But if I provide, then I'm checking with that value.
Okay.
Right, so this is there in week 5. So you can go through that. So this is like default value substitutions. Right, so these are the few things. So we can read lines with read. We can loop over lines using while read line. We can split using IFS. We can skip header.
Yeah,
And
so,
we can
one
also,
question, sir. One question. So if I think like this, that if $1 is present or not, okay, in a very simple manner, how if I write in the script? So just I
so you
want to,
can, yes,
yeah,
so you can do it like this. So, so let's say I want, I will have a variable, right? So threshold equals 0 or something. So if minus z, right? So 0 length, $1,
okay, okay.
then threshold is 30. Otherwise, threshold is $1. Right.
Oh,
So if the
okay.
$1 is anyway, there is nothing called undefined in bash. If that is not given, then it will be an empty string. So this will expand to nothing. So if it is a 0 length string, then we set threshold to 30. Otherwise, if it is not a 0 length string, then we set threshold to that $1. So here I can just make this. I can just make this dollar threshold. So this is same as what we did here. So this is same as that. So here we are doing it directly using bash.
Yeah, remembering this syntax is difficult, sir.
Yeah, that you can always do using if conditions.
Yeah.
Yes, so yeah, so this is how if works. So I assume you know like the basic syntax. I won't go through the details of that. So you can use the test command. So this square bracket is same as uh, the test command. So we are using that to do the comparisons here. And if you're comparing integers, make sure to use GTLTLE instead of the greater than symbol because that will do a string comparison. So for example, if I do 1 is great, like let's say 5 is greater than 1, so this will be true. But if I do 5 is greater than 10, it will, I think here it is true. Let me see it in bash. Okay, sorry, yeah, here anyway, it will be true always. Sorry. Do I want to compare? Yeah, I want to compare if 9 is greater than, yeah, so yeah, my bad. So it is actually giving the correct thing. So 9 is not greater than 10, but it is still printing yes. Right? Or 5 is not greater than 10, still it is printing yes. So that is because it is not comparing numbers, it is comparing string character by character. So it's saying 5 is greater than 1, so it is printing yes. This is how any string comparison in any language works, right? So Python, Java, all of them do string comparisons this way. So instead, if you don't want to do string comparison, if you want to do numerical comparison, then you have to use minus GT or GE or LT, LE. So this, as you can see, it is not giving yes because this is correctly evaluating that 9 is not greater than 10. But if I use, let's say, 19, then it will give you yes correctly. Right, so those are the few basic things. Now let us now see a few examples.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So can you give example of reading an array?
What do you mean by reading an array?
Like if there's an input of array, how to run the read command on it?
So like one
Read
line
it
which has
inside the
multiple
script.
numbers, like that. Uh, so let's say, okay, so let's say I have data like this. So you're telling like this, right? So data is given in one line with spaces.
Yes, sir.
So she's
Yeah.
asking like a dictionary. It's like a dictionary array has been given.
I'm not sure how to read a dictionary, but yeah, if it's like a like this, like a list, like in one line, what you can do is you can just do a for loop, right? So you can do for I in, and then you can do cat, what was this file, data. So sorry, this will be do, and here you can just do echo $i. So this will work as you expect. So if I do, what was the file name? Yeah. So this will go over the data one by one. Right, so there's no array as such when we are taking an input. If you want to take something as an array, you have to store it specifically as an array. So for example, I have to do arr equals, I have to put this in round bracket. Right? So this I've been telling for a long time now. So I can just do cat data and I can get whatever is there in the data, right? So which is one line which has all these numbers. Then if I store this inside these round brackets, then it will be treated as an array. So now instead of doing this, I can do for I in ARR this. Right? So now this is again the same thing. So now I'm iterating over the uh, array. So now I am actually storing it as an array and iterating over it as an array.
So many a times it is said that the data will be, you have to read the data from the STD in. At
Hmm.
that time, what to do?
Yeah, so if you're reading from STD in, you can just so if you're reading from STD in, so if you let's say are using a while loop, so then you just don't do the redirection, right? So here we are usually doing data.csv. Just don't do this redirection. It will by default read from the STD in. So for example, let's say I write line. So now if I run this, so now it is reading from STD in, right? So my STD in is blocked. So whatever I type, it will be read line by line and it will be printed this way, right? So instead of printing, you can also do any kind of processing in this. So if you just don't give the input direction, by default, read will read from the STD.
And how will do this a string concatenation if
Uh,
at all required?
yes. Yeah, so that is pretty simple. You can just put them side by side. So if A is
Okay.
apple and B is
Okay.
banana, yeah, you can do C equals, you can do $A, $B. So
Okay.
then you can do $C. If I do bash concat, we'll get apple banana.
But what is this editor? Like it giving you a lot of auto completions and
So this is Vim, and I have the GitHub Copilot extension.
okay.
Yeah, same as in VS Code if you have Copilot extension. Okay,
This is an
so
IDE of Vim.
sorry,
Is it an IDE of Vim? Development
this is
environment.
no, this is just Vim. So this is a flavor of Vim called NeoVim. So you see Vim version. So this is NVim. This is a command line edit.
So it's just terminal with the
Mm.
NVim.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see a few others. So we saw elder, let us see richer. So it's the same thing basically. So now instead of comparing the age, I'm seeing the salary. So I'm showing this because I wanted to show a few other things you can do. So for example, in elder, we saw that I can remove the header by doing tail this way, and then I can pipe the output to while. Another way, as we saw earlier, is we can use the process
Sorry to
solution.
stop you in between. These kind
Yeah.
of questions are not there in the OPP of the system commands, right?
Yes, there is a questions. Questions are there.
So like this
So
one, richness of,
Yeah, BPT questions are there.
yeah,
yeah, this
BPT
is
question is
BPP3.
there, greater than equal to is there, but for the richness and all this one are not there.
So this is similar to BPT3. So a similar question
Yeah,
will be
yeah,
there in OPP. Yeah.
yeah, sir. Greater than, less than, GT and all this one we have used.
Yeah.
But the richness and all this one we can use also.
Sorry, can you come again? I didn't catch that.
Like richness and all this one, what you are telling, can we use also there?
I'm not really sure I get your question. Can you
Like what
explain?
you are
Or
saying,
yeah.
the richness, dot sh, header dot sh, header dot sh. Can we use
Okay,
all these things?
so this is just examples that I'm going through. So to explain the
Oh,
things, these are just scripts that I wrote. These are basically these are scripts, right? So scripts that I wrote earlier. So I'm just going through them
got it, sir.
to
Now this is like
demonstrate.
a file name. It's like a file
Yeah,
name.
yeah. These are files, script
Okay,
files.
sir.
Yeah. So yeah, so just like we saw, we can use tail, minus, and plus two and pipe that to while. We can also use that as a process substitution, right? So we saw already this when we were using paste. So if I do this, this will be run and this will be created like a pseudo file. And then this is again simple file redirection, right? So we were doing earlier less than and then data.csv. So instead of reading from data.csv, we are reading from this pseudo file, which contains all the lines of data.csv except the first line, right? So same thing. So instead of piping it to the while, we can take it this way also. So it's the exact same thing. So here we are doing a few other things. So here now we are basically comparing uh, if the salary of the person is greater than some value. So for example, if I do richer and then I give, let's say 50,000. So we can see all these people whose salary is greater than 50,000. If I give, let's say 1 lakh, I get only one person whose salary is greater than 1 lakh. So here also I'm using that first argument. But if I don't have the first argument, then I'm using this median variable, right? So and how am I getting
Sir,
the medians? Yeah,
sir, this reacher.sh is a file or a command?
it's a file, right? It's a script file, not a such script file.
Okay, okay.
So you're seeing this file right here in the top pins. Right, so yeah, I won't explain in detail how the median is found. I hope you are able to understand this. So we are using the tail to remove the header, and then we are cutting by comma and getting the third field, right? So we are getting just the salary. We are sorting them as numbers. So to find median, obviously we need to have them sorted, and then we are finally getting the middle element. So till this part, I hope it is clear. How we are getting the middle element, if we are going through sed, this should be clear. So I'm getting the number of lines using this. So this one also should be clear. So WC minus L just gives you the number of lines, right? So WC minus L data.csv will give you 8 because there are 8 lines. And here what I'm doing is I'm just taking 8 by 2, which is 4, and I'm printing the fourth line. Yeah, someone has raised their hand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Why it is showing the salary above than 50,000? Why not the below? Because of the tail.
No, because I'm doing this comparison here, right? If salary is greater than this value, then I'm printing.
Okay,
If you do LT, then it will be lesser than. GT stands for greater than.
So, sir, why
It's
you said instead of that you can directly find the number and divide it by 2?
no, sed is not for finding the number. So I have the number of lines here. I can just divide it by 2 here, but I'm using set to print only that value. So if I have all these and I have sorted them and I want to print only the middle element, so that I can do using set. So in set I can do, so let's say, okay, let me show this if it's not clear. So if I do tail minus 2, minus n plus 2 data.csv, I have everything except the header. Then if I do cut D comma F3, I have just the salaries. Now if I do sort n, it will be sorted according to the salary. Right. So now I know I have 7 lines. So if I just take the fourth line, that will be the median. Right? So fourth line is 60,000. So I can just do sed 4p. 4p means fourth line, print the fourth line. So if I just do 4p, it will print all of them and also the fourth line another time. So I do minus n. So don't print lines by default and only print fourth line. So then it will give me the middle element. Right? So that is what we're doing here. So we are getting the median of this data. And
In the
if
first
I am,
line,
sorry?
sir, in the first line of a script, you use W minus L, and it will counting. It is counting 8 lines, but here is
Yes.
only 7 lines of data.
Yeah, so because I anyway want the like n minus 1 by 2. Right. So if I have 8 lines, like 7 lines, then I want the 4 line. So 4 by 2, sorry, 8 by 2 is 4. So that works out here. So you
Okay.
have to actually tweak this if we have even or odd. So I'm not doing that case. I'm just taking the simple case where we have odd number of data and just doing by 2.
Okay.
Right, so here basically what we are doing is, so I made the script a little bit complicated just so that I can explain multiple things in the same thing. So the gist of the code is very same as the elder one. So I'm breaking the columns and I'm checking if the salary is greater than some value, then I'm printing only that. Right, so that is what we are doing. And if I provide a number, that I'm just comparing with that number. But if I don't provide, then it is taking the median, and this is how we compare the median. And finally, you can also observe that in our data, so if we have, so we have Ali, Ahmed, Ramesh. So Ali is here, Ahmed is above him, and Ramesh is here, right? So we are not printing in the same order as the data. Rather, we are printing in sorted order of salary. So that is done in the end. So what I'm doing is the output of this entire while. So this while will print each line one by one. So when it is in the fifth line, it will print the fifth line. When it is in the sixth line, it will print the sixth line. But output of this entire while will just be all the output that we get from it. So I can now put a pipe after this while, and I can sort it. So if you do something like this, right? So if you put the sort here, this will not work. So then you will see it will have the same order as the input, because here it is sorting single lines, and sorting single lines doesn't have any like effect. So instead, the entire output of this while I will sort. And how are we sorting? We are basically telling to split by space. So here you can see our output is name, colon, space, Ahmed, comma, space, salary, colon, comma, colon, space, and then the value. Let's say if I split by space and I take the fourth field, K4. So this is the fourth field. So I'm telling sort that sort only by the fourth field and sort it numerically. Right? So that is how I'm getting the output in the sorted order. So this is a bit complicated script, so just go through it once and let me know if this is clear.
So what is that hyphen
Vim
T and
interface, is it?
One by one. Yeah.
Is it the Vim interface, sir?
Yeah, this is Vim.
Can we have this type of split screens for Nano also?
Split screen is not done by Vim. Split screen is done by Tmux. Right? So you can go through the auxiliary videos that we have for Tmux and you can see how it works. Right? So you are splitting the screen using Tmux, and I've opened Vim in the top pane, and left and right bottom panes are just the shell.
Oh, okay. So can
So
you
you can
please?
open any editor. Yeah. Yeah, continue.
Okay. Okay. So probably you'll do it for next problem, same thing.
I didn't get it.
Will you repeat it for the next problem?
Repeat what?
Repeat this interface setting for the next problem.
So this you can go through the video we have of Tmux, right? So I'm not really going through it in this session.
Okay.
I'll paste it here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
sir?
Can you?
Yeah. Yeah, Prashant, go ahead.
So what is this hyphen T and codes like?
So this is the delimiter for the sorting. So I am delimiting. So I'm splitting by the space, and I'm taking the fourth field.
Okay, to specify the delimiter, we have to give T option, not D.
Yeah, it depends on the command. So if you see man sort, you can see how to see. So if you give delimiter, maybe not delimiter, but yeah, if you see the not this. Yeah, so if you see the field separator, right? So the field separator for sort command, it is -T, the flag for it.
And K is the field name instead of F.
Yes. So if you see K, so what K does, it's not exactly same. So if you, let's say, had more columns after this, K will just start from that field and compare all the fields after it also. But if you want to start and end that at that field, you have to give K 4,4. But here it doesn't matter because we just have only 4 columns. You can go through this man page to get more details.
Sir, what this set part is doing after sorting?
Set part just gives you the middle element. So NOL minus by 2 gives you the number, like the middle element index, and P prints that line.
Sir, can you repeat, sir? Annual giving what?
So NOL is the number of lines. NOL by 2 is the number of lines by 2. And P is printing, so it is doing 4P, which means print the fourth line.
And what is K4
So
in the
from
last
tomorrow,
sort?
So this just like tells sort to compare only using this fourth field. It will not compare the names, right? So if I don't give it, it'll sort by the name. I don't want to sort by the name. So if I do want that, I can just remove all this and it'll sort by the name. You can see this if I give, let's say, 0. So now you can see everything like the output is sorted by their names because sort goes from left to right. So the first mismatch is the name. So it will sort by the name. But if you do this, so it will sort by the salary. So now
So
it is.
then it should be 2 now. Why it's then
The delimiter
4?
is space, right? So which field is this if we are splitting by space?
Um, so if we are
So this
split,
is our
okay,
output that we are
fine.
working on that.
So if
So
if we
name is
don't specify anything,
both
then
field.
sorry.
see if we don't specify anything, then why it's taking Rajesh? Then it should like in that case, what it will take if we don't
If you
specify
don't
anything.
specify minus t, you have to see what is the default. I think the default spin better is a sequence of blank spaces. Yeah, so it'll split by spaces.
And then
Yeah.
for which field it will sort, like there are if it's by default it's taking blank space, then
Yeah.
there are 4 fields, right? Name, Rajesh, salary, and 3100, whatever the salary is. So then how it takes the second field?
No, it's not taking the second field. I'm giving K4, so it's taking
No,
the
no,
fourth field.
no. So you showed only sort earlier, right?
So this will
No,
not take any particular field. It'll sort by the entire line. So how do you do string comparison in any language? You compare character by character, right? So if the
character by
first
character.
6 characters are same, you see the 7th character.
Oh,
So
then
the first thing that
automatically,
comes is
yeah.
it will be sorted
Okay.
by. Now, if 2 people have the same name, then it will also sort by the salary because it will keep on comparing. It will not just see the second field.
Okay.
So we
So
can
tomorrow,
give the
tomorrow onwards, we
hyphen
are not
T
going to
and
have VM.
colon and give
One
the
by one, one by. Please
third
don't
field.
speak over each other. One by one.
So
Yeah.
tomorrow onwards, we will not be having VM, no? Or only the OPPA VM will not be available.
I'm not familiar of any such restriction. I think NPP deadline is tomorrow, right? When is NPP deadline?
Tomorrow.
No, they said 27th onwards it will not be available because they have to set up the VMs for everyone.
Okay, yeah. So till NPP is there, it will be there. After that, the OPP VM will be not available. I think course VM should be up. I'll clarify. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it must be right. So
The course VM, if it is available, it will be good because then we can
Yeah.
practice some more.
Yeah, ideally it should be up.
Yes.
I will clarify. Yeah.
Okay.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
sir, here if we are echoing the name, salary, and then age, then and say we want to sort it by the age, then we would make it case 6, right? Or
Yes. So if I am doing this, so if I want to sort by age, if I make it K6, then this should sort by age. So 23, 24 locus. Yeah.
sir, and if say 2 ages are equal, then how does it sort it?
So if 2 ages are equal and because age is the last column, it will not sort. So it will be in the same order as it came.
Okay.
Especially if you're using minus S, like stable sort. If not, it is not really defined how it will be. But if you're giving minus S, then it will be same order as the input.
All right, sir. Thank you.
So what about descending order?
Descending, you can give minus R. Sorry. So it will be in descending order. Okay, so let's move on now.
Sir, I have a
Only N means
question.
ascending order.
Sorry?
Sir, I have a question on the above problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Read hyphen R. What is hyphen R?
Okay, so hyphen R is basically it will, if you have backspaces, okay, not this. If you have backslashes in your, why is this not working? if you have backslashes in your input, so it will not ignore that. So if I do read where, if I give hello, and so you can see this, the backslash is not maintained. But if I do read minus r where, then if I do hello, how are you? And then if I do echo where, you can see the backslash is maintained. Okay, so that is the difference. You can see that in the, I don't know why it's not visible for me, but if you do help read, it should be visible, right? So minus r, it will allow backslashes to escape any character.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next example. Right, so here basically what I'm showing is you can use if conditions also. It's very similar. So instead of only printing people who are above some like salary, what I'm doing is I'm showing all of them, but I'm showing like I'm segmenting them into different categories. So what I'm doing is if salary is less than this value, I'm showing low income. If this is greater than this, I'm showing middle income. If this is greater than this, I'm showing high income. Sorry, less than this. And if it is else, which means greater than 1 lakh, then I'm showing very high income. So again, you can see very similar structure, right? So we are doing a while loop, IFS to split with comma, read, and then 3 variables. And we are taking input using the like tail to remove the first line. And then we can just give if, else, if, else, if, else, if this way. Right, so hopefully this is clear. It's like very simple compared to the last one. Right, so you can use if, else, if this way. And very similar to that, you can also use switch cases, right? So I'll briefly touch upon switch cases. So you can use switch case instead of if. So if let's say you have, if you want to compare, let's say if the age, right? So earlier we were comparing the salary. Now if you want to compare the age, or if you want to see if the age starts with 2, so you can do a globbing kind of matching in switch case. So you can do 2 star, which means 2 and then anything else. So if the age matches this glob 2 star, then it will print this. If it matches 3 star, it will print this. Right? So if you run this, and you can see I'm printing 30s, 20s, 40s according to the age. And also you can give a default, just like you have default in, okay, I don't think you have done Java. But yeah, so in other languages, you have default to catch if none of these match. So here you can give star. So star basically matches everything. So if you just have it at the end, so if you have it at the top, it is not correct because then it will always say 60s or older, right? Because it will always match this. So the default should always be at the end. So then it will work correctly. And you can also use question mark to match a single character. So if I use question mark, it will match a single character. So this will match when the age is just 1 digit. Right? So it's just too young to work. And here
Sir,
I also want to show you, yeah, continue.
why are you writing these as stars after the number 2, 3, 4, 5?
So this means the age matches this pattern 2 star. So 2 and then any characters any number of times. This is same as globbing. Right? So 2 star means it will match any 20s, any 200s also. So for example, if in the data.csv, if we have instead of 28, if we have 208, till it will say Paul is in their 20s because it means anything that starts with 2. So it doesn't matter how many characters. If you want to make this more correct, you will ideally make this question mark and not star. So star means any character any number of times, whereas question mark means any character present exactly once.
So here we should use the question mark, not the stars, right?
Yeah, so assuming like no one will be 200 years old, both works. But yeah, ideally you should use question mark in this case.
And sir, why there are 2 semicolons at the last?
Yeah, so that is the switch case syntax. So this 2 semicolons means the break, right? So if you don't break, then it will fall through. So if you enter in this case, then if you don't have this, then it will go to the next, and then it will go to the next, and it will keep on going. So to do that, you can make it semicolon ampersand. So that is the fall through syntax. So let me show you how that works. So hopefully you should have gone through the weekly contents and this should be clear. Okay, so if I run this, so you can see for every person, for Ramesh, we are starting with 40s, then we are going to 50s and then 60s. For Rajesh, we are starting with 20s, then 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. So we're falling through basically. Wherever we enter, we do everything after that also. So if you put anywhere double semicolon, we will stop there. So now you can see we stop at the 40s, right? So for Ali, we go till 40s. Even though we start at 20s, we go till 40s. We don't go after that. So ideally, you will usually always want to have breaks and not fall throughs. But if you want to have fall throughs, then you can use semicolon ampersand.
Okay, sir.
And sir,
Got
what
it.
is the dollar name is equal to name and key?
Yeah, I wanted to explain this also. So one way we saw to ignore the header was to use the tail minus n. But another simple way is I can just go over all the lines. And for the first line, I know that the first field will be name. So I can just say if name is name, then continue. So I'm skipping the first line basically. So I'm iterating over all lines, but for first line, I'm just continuing. I'm skipping the loop. This is another way of ignoring the header. Right? So hopefully this is clear.
So we are not, for this condition, we are not writing if here. So
Yeah, there is in
is
switch
it like
case.
that? Okay, so it's a switch case.
Yes, so instead of if, we are using switch case here. You can use either.
No,
Both are.
but that is a condition, right? So for condition, there should be.
Yeah. For conditions, we use if conditions, but in if you just want to, so in other languages, switch case can only match equality, but in Bash, switch case can match any globbing. So I can,
No,
yeah.
my question is in the line number this after the while there's a condition you have written, right? So it's not
Hmm.
inside the case
No,
syntax, right?
this we are just using test to evaluate this, and if this is true, then we are doing continue.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that why we are not writing if here. So because it's a condition. So.
So you can use if also. So this is basically week 2, right? So you can do it in a 1 second. You can do it in a if. But so this is, so you have to understand how the test command works, right? So this is not a if, how it is there in most languages. So if can take any command that runs and take its exit code. And based on its exit code, it will either run or not. So this thing is a command by itself or a shell built in. So where it will evaluate this condition and give an exit code. And based on its exit code, we are doing this. And this is same as just using and, right? So I'm executing two commands. I'm executing the first command. If it is giving a zero exit code, then I'm executing the second command. So this is a shorthand version of, so it's not exactly if, but it is, it accomplishes the same thing. So if this condition is true, then this command is run. Basically, if this command returns a zero exit code, then this command is run.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's quickly go over sed. So we are a little bit above our time, but we'll go through them. So we may have to extend this half an hour.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
So can we
So
do it tomorrow, sir? Set scripting.
uh, I'm not sure if
Because
I will be able to take another session tomorrow. So what I'll do is, so this is anyway being recorded, right? So we'll take this, and then if you're not able to engage today, you can just watch the recording tomorrow.
okay.
And sir, please upload this PDF on the calendar.
So I've already given the link to the GitHub repository, right? So you can get the PDF directly from there. One second, let me share it again.
Okay.
Uh, One second. So you can get the PDF and all the strings from this, all the scripts from this repository. Right, so we will be very briefly summarizing sed. Right, so in sed, you can do a few things on the command line, like the standard input. Right, so how sed works is it will either work on a file or the standard input, and it works line by line. So, for example, 1 second. Yeah, so we have again here the data, right? So we have data CSV. So here we have some fruits data, right? So I have fruit, the color of the fruit, and the price of the fruit. Right? So we have some 21 fruits. 1 second. Yeah. Sorry for the delay. Yeah. So I have a CSV file here, which is like name of the fruit, color of the fruit, and the price of the fruit. So let us see a few things that we can do in set. So we can obviously first of all filter using set. So instead of seeing all the lines of this file, if I want to see some lines that match some regex, right? So we can see that. So first of all, let us see how we can ignore the header. Right? So this is something we have been seeing from the previous thing. So instead of tail, now I can do sed 1D. Right? So what D does is it drops any line that I mention it to drop. So 1 means the first line. So sed 1D means drop the first line. So if I do sed 1D data.csv, it will print the entire data except the first line. So it will start with the second line. Similarly, I can delete any lines. I can do 1, 10D. So it will start from the 11th line. Right? So from 1 to 10, all the lines are deleted or dropped, and then all other lines are printed. So I can use 1D to just remove the header from the CSV file. So hopefully this is clear. This is a simple set script. Right, so now let us see how we can do a filtering based on color. So now instead of all of these lines, if I just want to see lines that have the red color, I can do like this, and I can get only lines that have red color. So what are we doing here? So instead, if I do -n, it will not print all the lines by default. So then I have to specify which line to print. So now here, this is our sed script. So if you're asked to write a sed script in our exam, you don't have to write the entire command. You just create a file where you just write the sed script, which is inside the quotes. Right? So here what we're doing is we are, if I do this, so we're just searching for all lines that have the string red, and I'm printing those lines. So this is again same as what we had done earlier. So I can either take an argument, and if it is not present, I am giving red. So by default, I am searching for all lines that have red, but I can give any other color. So for example, I can give yellow, and okay, let me save this. I can give yellow, and I can get only fruits that have yellow, or I can give pink, and I can get only fruits that are colored pink. Right. So this 2 forward slashes are used to denote that anything inside it is regex. And then for any line that matches this regex anywhere in the line, then we print that line. Right. So -n, we suppress the default line printing, and then P, we force to print lines that are matching this regex. So only lines that are matching red or yellow, they are being printed. Right. So hopefully this is clear. Okay. So we can also do a substitution. So that is the most prominently used use case of sed, right? So I can find some regex and then I can replace it. So here what we're doing is, as we saw, we have only one fruit of dragon fruit whose color is pink. But now let's say in this data, I want to substitute pink with light red. So I want to change this pink to light red. So I can just use S, which is a command in sed for substitution. So the basic sed syntax is you write a command. So first you write the address. Right? So here we don't have the address, which means do it for all the lines. Otherwise, I can just say do it for line 1, or do it for line 4, or do it for all the lines in the range 1 to 4. So here we don't have the address, so I'm telling it to do it for all the lines. So for all the lines, substitute pink with light red. So G means if there are multiple occurrences in one line, it will do it for all of this. And P is for printing. So I'm telling after substituting, print that. So how does that work? So if I do replace, now it will substitute the pink with light red, and it will print that line. So you can say I used -n here. So that's why other lines are not printed. But if I remove this, then I can also remove this P. So then all the lines will be printed. And in dragon fruit, you can see still the substitution has been made. If you don't remove the P, but you don't have the -n, this will basically print it 2 times, right? So one default printing, so dragon fruit light red, and again it will be printed. This is the second line. So the second line is printed because of this, and the first line is the default printing because all lines are printed. But here this line, which is substituted, is printed again because I am asking it to print using the P. So if you want to print only lines that are substituted, you use -n and P.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, inside the script, we are not able to give -n.
No, you cannot do that because inside a script, you can only write what is there inside this quotes. So if the script is run with -n, it will be run that way. if it is not run with -n, then you cannot do -n from inside the script.
So should I need to write then P also?
No, because if -n is not given anyway, it will print all the lines by default. So let us see that actually. So if we have, let's say, let me call it
If we
minus.
define it along with shebang,
No, so still it will not work. If you're calling it like this sed minus f, so it will ignore the shebang. So even if you put it in shebang, it will not work. So for example, here, if I want to print only the line with dragon fruit, usually what we will do is dragon fruit and then P. Right? So if I am doing, it should not be bash, sorry. This should be sed. Yeah, so if I'll show it so you can see what we're doing. Yeah, so if I do sed minus nf and then minus n dot sed data.csv. So here it works because I'm giving -n. So lines are not printed by default, and only this line is printed using the P. But if I don't give -n, and that is not something that you have control over in the OPPE, so then every line is printed and dragon fruit is printed 2 times. So then what you can do is you can, instead of P, you can do D. Right? So what this will do, it will drop that line. So now you can see dragon fruit is dropped and all the other lines are present. So now you can invert this. So you can do all lines that don't match dragon fruit, drop that line. So now you will again get only that line. Right? So if you are printing all lines, you can just drop lines you don't want. And other lines by default will then be printed.
Okay, so instead of -n, we can do.
Yes, and you have to invert what you want to print.
Yes, sir. Because in the OPP we can't control that script.sh, right?
Yes.
That is fixed.
Yes.
Sir, and how can we use extended regular expressions?
That also you cannot do. If it is not given in the like evaluation script, then you have to use BRE only. So you just have to escape the symbols that you want. If you have control over this command line, then you can just give
So the
-e.
quotes are also not to be given, no?
No. You don't have to give the quotes. Yes, so
And we shouldn't change that script.sh, right? Whatever is default, we should.
yeah, whatever file name they ask you to create, that file name only will create. So if it is script.sed, you just create script.sed.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
And the
in the
script.sh will be auto created by the
Yes,
portal.
it will be
And we
auto.
shouldn't modify that.
so
Yeah.
and in the first line we have to give that sed -f, no?
No, you don't need to give the shebang because it will be run using sed -f. It won't be run as / script.sed. So if it was run this way, then
Synchro eval.
yeah, synchro eval will not run it this way. It will run it this way usually. So you don't need to give the shebang. You can directly write the script.
In the shebang, we don't have to give sed -f.
No.
Because in the BPTs we had done that way.
Yeah, if it is run using /script.sed, right? So then you need to give the shebang. If it is run this way, then you don't need to give this shebang. You can just see the evaluation script, how it is run. So usually it will be run using sed and not /. Okay, so let me also show this thing, the uppercase and lowercase. So this was part of some of the assignments or programming assignments. So if you, let's say, what you want to do is you want to substitute all these berries, and instead of the lowercase b, you want the uppercase b. So the output will basically be like this. So all of these berries, so strawberry, raspberry, the b will be capital. So that you can do this way. So what you're doing is you're substituting the berry with \u ampersand. So does anyone know what \u does?
Uppercase conversion.
Yes, so this will make only the first letter uppercase. And ampersand just means everything that was matched in the regex. So berry is substituted with berry, but with the first letter uppercase. If I make this, if I make the u uppercase, then what will happen?
Whole word.
Yes, the entire berry will become uppercase. Right? So similarly, you have L and capital L. Right, so here also we are
this
seeing how we can.
ampersand is necessary.
Yes, ampersand means the entire word, right? If you don't give it, then nothing will come. So I want to replace berry with berry, right? I don't want to delete the word. So backslash u will just make whatever you put after it uppercase. So if I write hello here, it will make the first letter of hello uppercase. But what I want to put, that I put using ampersand, which means the whatever the entire thing that was matched.
So it kind of back reference.
Yes, yes. It's similar to back reference, but it even if you don't group, it basically matches entire thing. And even if
So
you group, it will match entire thing. Yeah.
so more readable syntax will be slash u and then in capital write b e double r y.
And then you don't even need the you can just do like
Yeah,
this.
yes.
So
Yes.
that would
But
be
if you Yes, but if you want to match a regex, then you cannot do that, right? For example, if you want to match any vowel that ends, so in the so if you have, let's say, A, E, I, O, U at
Hmm.
the end of the word, right? So we have comma after that. So here I cannot make it very obviously because it will make it something wrong. But here what I want is I want to have that vowel in uppercase, right? So if I do this, then, as you can see, vanilla, so A is capital, ugly, I is capital, tomato, O is capital. So if you are matching a fixed string, you can just put the fixed string. But if you're matching a regex and you want that same thing that was matched, then you have to use ampersand.
So can I not use the grape comment with the set? It is not possible.
You cannot use grep inside sed. So if you're asked to write a sed script, then you have to just use sed. You cannot use grep. So that is also what we're seeing in this. So basically, if you're asked to, so this is how it will be done: sed minus f, your script.sed, and then the data file. So this is the file that you have to create. So it will just be this line, right? So this is how you create a file from the script. So hopefully you know how here doc works. So I'm just using it to create the file, and later I'm removing the file. So this is just one line of the file that will be there. So in script.sed, we'll just have this one line.
But why use a comma here? A I O U after that you use comma.
So that it matches only the last variable, sorry, last vowel, not all the vowels.
Okay, so
If
this
you
is a
want to
part of
match,
pattern. Yeah.
yeah, if you want to match all the vowels, then you can remove the comma. Then you can see all the vowels are capitalized. Okay, so let's move on. A few other things you can do. Yeah, so if you want to just drop the entire price column, how can you do that instead? So I want to print first two columns, but not the third column.
Grouping.
No, 3B.
Yeah, we can group, but basically what you need is you need to substitute. So you can do it with grouping. In simpler cases, you can also do without grouping. But yeah, basically you need to substitute, and you basically substitute that thing with nothing. Right? So if I
Oh.
want to remove anything after a comma that is like a decimal number, so I can do comma and then 0 to 9 star dot 0 to 9 star dollar. So at the end, basically. So in this case, I know it is the last column, and substitute that with nothing. Right? So slash slash. So it'll just remove that. So you just have the first two columns.
Is it necessary to give it global G? That's global, right?
Yeah, so in this case, it's not required because anyway, dollar will appear only once. So even without it, it will work.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so another thing that we are seeing here, hopefully you already understood it from the previous
So
examples.
could
So
you
here we are
explain
using minus, yeah,
the fourth line?
this one, right?
No, fourth line.
This one. Yeah. So here we are substituting all the occurrences of comma, some decimal, like some number followed by a full stop, then some number, and then end of line. So all of these things we are removing. So here you can see the first header is not removed, right? Because it doesn't match this pattern. So instead, if you want, you can just change all of this to dot star, right? And now it will remove all the last column, and even for the will not say 1 second. Oh, here the thing is that is matching the maximum thing. So it is matching from the first comma itself. Yeah, so that will not work. So yeah, this is what we are doing to remove just the last column, but this will only work for the numeric columns. So the price column, it remains, right? So you can see in the header, we have 3 columns, but other places we have 2 columns. And here, so you're using minus n. So by default, nothing is printed. So here we are basically using the p command. So if you don't give any address, if you give one p, it will just print the header. If you give 1 comma 4p, it will print the first 4 lines. If you give 1 comma $p, so dollar means the last line. So it will print all the lines. But a shortcut for this is just don't give anything at all. So by default, also, if you don't mention any addressing, just p means print all the lines. So this will print all the lines because we are having minus n here. So if you're told that your script will be run with minus n, in that case, if you still need to print all lines, you have to use a p, okay, so that all lines are printed. You
So
can also conditionally print. Yeah.
what is that n, sir?
What is the n means don't print lines by default.
Okay, sir.
Sir, why your line numbering is this weird?
This is relative line numbering. So you see the line number, absolute line number, and then you see relative line number on top and bottom.
Oh, okay.
So if I want to come from here to here, I know exactly how many lines I need to go. So I can do 5j, then I can come here. And if I want to go back, I can do minus 5k or like 5k. Right? So if you want to like go from one line to another, you can see how many lines you
Okay,
want to go.
okay, got it.
So you remove this file, then how it is showing the output?
I'm removing it after I'm calling sed.
Okay.
I'm creating the script, I'm using it in sed, and then I'm removing it.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, if you also want to remove that price header, and is there
Then
any, yeah, how
then
do
you
we
can, if you want to remove the entire header, you can do this, what we are doing now. So then the header won't be there because I'm only printing where substitution is happening. So the header is not there. But if you want to print the header, but not that, so one way you can do is you can just do another substitution, right? So you can say substitute price with nothing. This will work. So now you can see we will have the header with only fruit and color.
Okay. So we can't use any cut command something, right? Instead.
No, you cannot use. So in sed script, you can only write sed script, no other command.
Okay. Which is like mostly regex to match.
Yes, yes. And then finally skipping, right? So you know that if you want to print, let's say, all the third lines from the first line, you can do 1 tilde 3, right? So if I do skip here, you can see I'm printing the first line, then the fourth line, then the seventh line, then the 10th line, then the 13th line, etc. Right? So you can also address once and then do multiple commands inside. So for example, what I'm doing is I am for every third line starting from the first line. So these lines basically, I'm doing two things: equals, which prints the line number, and p, which prints the file. The line. So I'm printing the line number. Then in the next line, I'm printing the uh, file. So basically, this is how the output is. So for each third line from the first line, first I'm printing the line number, and then I'm printing the contents of the line. Now, how can I take two lines and put it side by side? We already saw this, right? I can use xargs and do echo, or I can do paste sd, comma, and new line. Right? So we have already seen this, so I won't explain it again. So instead
Sir,
of
if
this,
you want to do this within the set script,
then it's not possible. You cannot do it in the set script. You
okay.
will need two set scripts. So you can try to use n, but it will not work in the current pattern space itself. So I don't think this will work. Yeah, so if I don't do this, yeah, then it will not work. So yeah, n doesn't work. Like if something is being printed right now, n will not work with that. Right. So yeah, that is basics of set. So the most important thing that comes from set is just substitution and matching. Right. So printing some lines based on regex and substituting some part of the line.
Sir, in org script,
Right.
we can define a record separator. Can we do
Yes.
something like this here also instead?
Uh, Instead, it usually reads line by line. No, I don't think you can specify the record separator. You might be able to in if you see the man page. I'm not familiar of such a possibility.
Okay.
From what I know, it's not possible. But you can read multiple lines using N, capital N.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what that N was doing? Explain that again.
So that is like advanced pattern space logic. So N will read one more line into the pattern space. So if it is in the first line, it will also read the second line. So the entire thing will be in the pattern space. So then you can do advanced regex. So you can see if two consecutive lines have some pattern with each other.
Okay.
So we'll not cover that in details. So let me now go through the final thing, that is awk. So awk is very large, right? So you can go through our videos on awk. So we have covered awk extensively in the OPP revision part 2 video. So we won't obviously be able to cover everything in awk, but a few basic things. So field separator, record separator, and printing and different blocks we will cover, because anyway, question that will come from awk will be simple. It won't be much complicated. So let me just open this. Mm, yeah. So go through few of them. So I have this again data. So it's same as the previous to previous one. So I have name, age, salary. So if I just want to print the total salary, right? So if I do bash total.sh, you can see this is the total salary, right? So this is how the awk script will be, right? So you will have blocks. So you'll have begin block, you'll have end block, you'll have the uh, block with some conditions, right? So here what we're doing is nr does not equals 1. So what this means, for all lines except the first line. Why are we doing this? Any idea?
Because first line is header of some
Yes.
CSV.
Yes. So if first line is header, we do this. If first line is not header, you can just ignore this. So for all lines, you can do. Right? So what we are doing is we are doing sum plus equals $3. So in your awk script, don't put this backslash. So this I'm doing because I'm using the here doc, or I'll just code this here doc.
Sir, if
Yeah.
you have defined fs in the begin block, but
Yeah.
if we define fs in some conditional block, like let's say
Hmm.
if some nf equal to some nr equal to
Hmm.
some numerical expression, so
Hmm.
that fs, the field separator, will be applied only for that block, right?
Not only for that block, that and all subsequent lines wherever you're doing something, unless you again change it.
Okay, so until it's changed again, it will fix to
Yes.
that value.
Mhm.
Okay. Hmm.
Yes. Right. So in so FS you can set two places. One is in begin, and obviously inside also you can set. Or other is in like inside the awk itself. So I can do awk minus F comma. So capital F. So this also sets the field separator. So I'm setting the field separator to be comma so that I split by the comma, and then I'm seeing the $3. So $3 is the third column, and I'm adding that to a sum variable. And in the end, so end is run after all the records are read, and then I'm printing the sum. Right? So that is how we are getting the total, and we can verify this is the actual sum by also doing it in traditional. So I can cut by comma and take the third field. So this will give me only the third field. I can do tail minus n plus 2 to remove the header, and then same way as we did, right? So paste minus sd plus. So I just plus all this and give it to BC. So you can see that output is also 503000. So this awk script is basically just giving you the sum of all the values in the third column. So you can see how to select particular row. You can see how to select particular column, and then how to aggregate and print at the end using the end block. Let me know if there is any doubt in this.
So how do you do the not equal to symbol?
Oh, that is the ligature. My bad. So this is not equals. This is semicolon and then equals. But if I put it together, it's just showing like this for me.
Okay.
But it is semicolon and sorry, not semicolon, exclamation mark and equals.
Exclamation.
Yeah. So don't think you have to write this symbol. This is
This
just
is Ubuntu Mono, well, whatever. Doesn't matter.
No, this is, I think, not open. This is some other nerd font. So basically, this is called ligatures. So you can look it up if you're
Yeah,
interested.
ligatures is feature of some. I mean,
Yes,
this is
of
the
the font.
feature, but not
Yes,
the
yes.
entire font.
Yeah, this font, I am not sure which font it is. I forgot. We have to see. Anyway, so yeah, so
Sir,
let me know if this is clear. Yeah.
sir, basic question, sir. In the
Yeah.
OPPE, can
Yeah.
we split the screens using our own SSH
Yes.
client? Maybe because the mouse navigation will be easy between shifting between two.
Yes,
Just in case
yes, you can.
one side I want. Okay, because I probably I will use two PowerShells and open the SSH. That's possible, no, sir?
Yeah, that is fine. Also, if you're like if you open too many things and it is not letting you create anything anymore, or if you, let's say, created some process that you want to close, you can just go to this website, not this one, for the OPP one. You can go to process termination and you can run this. It will kill all your processes.
Okay.
Right? So it's
So in a nutshell, it's possible I can open two
yes,
SSH session to my user and use
yes,
it. Okay. Okay, sir.
yes,
Thank you
yes,
very much.
yes.
Instead of tmux.
Yeah, yeah,
Mr. Sayan,
yeah,
like last other OPPs, we are having SIA. So what
yeah.
about, because if we are navigating anything from SIA, it is
Mm.
showing sign of the that we are
That
closing
is
the
fine.
window or
That
opening
is
the
fine.
window.
That is fine. As long
So,
as you are just opening your terminal and nothing else, that is fine. So it is anyway monitored. Your screen is captured.
okay. So it will not be logging us out, right, from
No, no,
the,
no.
because
You
last
won't be
time
able
we are facing this problem. Suddenly all the screens of the students went down, and even the proctor don't know about this one. So later on he said, okay, you can take extra time and all that one,
to.
because it was sudden, it was very sudden, and
Yeah,
later on all the
that
exams got
was
cancelled
technical
also.
issue. That is technical issue. So that I cannot predict whether it will happen or not.
Yeah. I hope you
Yeah.
know that one, like all
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
exams got
Yeah. I
cancelled.
also faced
Yeah.
that. I was giving some OPP that happened with me also. So
Okay.
if technical issue
Sorry,
is
sir.
there, yeah, I mean, cannot
Sorry, sir.
predict it. Hopefully it will not happen. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Uh, okay. Let me actually again code this here, doc, so you don't think you need to escape it in the actual script. Because I know after OPP, someone will come and tell me in your session it was escaped, but then when I escaped it in the script, it didn't work. Okay. Yeah, so basically in this script, what we're doing is we're just finding some statistics. So we are finding sum, which we already did. We are finding the mean, max, minimum, and the median, right? So the sum we already saw. So we can just do sum plus equals $3 and it'll keep on summing. So variables by default are initialized with empty or zero. So you don't have to initialize sum to zero. So I can just do sum equals sum plus equals 3 for each line. Similarly, I can just do if $3 is greater than max. And for the first case, when max is undefined, it will just treat like zero. So anyway, anything greater than zero. So we will take max equals $3. But for minimum, we have to specify, right? Because if minimum is taken as zero, then if all our values are positive, then it will think zero is the minimum, whereas that is not even a valid data. So what we've done is for the second line, which is the first data line, I've just set min equals $3. So I'm initializing min with the first data value. And then we can compare for each line. If min is greater, then I can do min equals $3. Right? So simple max checking, min checking. And I can also find sorry, I didn't use this. Let me remove this. I can also find the median if I store the data in a list. So in awk, you don't really have arrays, you only have dictionaries. So if you want to simply have an array, you can just have a dictionary where each key is just the line number, right? So I can do data of nr minus 1 because technically the header is first line. So I can do nr minus 1 equals $3. Right? So I'm storing each uh, what is the third thing? The salary. Yeah, each salary in the in like the dictionary, and the key is the index. Yeah.
Sir, can you
Hmm.
like explain this structure of the hash map or dictionary? Professor also said something, but I didn't get what he was saying.
So it's same like Python dictionary. So this will always have a key and value.
So
So
this key is can be anything.
yeah, you can give any key. So here currently we are giving the line number -1 as the key.
Okay, that will act like an index.
Yes. So you can think of this like now as a index array, right? Because
Hmm.
dictionary is like a superset of arrays, right? So if you can
Yeah.
index with the index, then it's just like a array.
Mhm.
Yes. So
Okay.
now we have the array of the data. So sum is pretty simple. We saw I just added it. Mean is just sum by total data. So line number is the number of data +1 because we have header. So nr -1 is number of data. So sum by nr -1 will give you the mean. So or the average. So sum you can print this way. Max and min is simple. For the median, you basically have to use the a sort or the associative array sort function. So this is a GNU awk extension. This is not there in all awks, but the awk that we have in the portal, the G awk, that will have this. So because I have this array now, which is having all the data, I can now sort this. Right? So now if I sort the diction, like the array, now I know median will be the in the middle element. So now I can see if we have even number of data, I can take like average of the middle two element. And if it is odd number of data, I can take the middle element and print the
It's
median.
sorting by value instead of the key.
Yes. Yes, yes, it will sort
And
by value.
even more weird.
Yeah, so you have to go through how the A sort works. So there's another function A sort I, so which sorts by the index. Right? So just go through. Why do we have two EOS here? Okay,
Sir, if
okay.
OPPE will A sort be available, right?
Yeah, because we have geoc.
Okay,
So
in the
A sort,
VM.
A sort. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so here you can see we are given the field separator in the command itself, known as F command. Right, so this is how we
Sir,
can
also
find
what is
basic
that
statistics.
here doc?
Yeah, here doc is just a way of creating a file from a script itself. So this entire thing will be stored in this file, script.doc. So you can
No, sir,
go through
So this doc type of question can come in OPP for the system command,
which kind?
like this one gawk and all the dictionary, because it's not been taught, I think, in system command.
No, dictionary, associated dictionary are there in system commands. Very much there.
Yes, it professor explained. Professor he didn't use this term. They use the general term hash map.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like hash map or associative arrays is the same thing. It's like a dictionary.
Yeah. Dictionary is
Yeah.
Python term. Hash map is
Yes, yes.
general C.
General CS term. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So if you're interested in here doc, I won't cover it in detail. You can just go through the 5.3.5 of our textbook, right? So here doc is a way of giving standard input to a command, to any command that is written in the script itself. Right? So let's move on. So there's one last thing that is left. So there are different blocks in the awk, right? So we saw the begin block and the end block. There's also like if you just give the condition and you don't give anything inside the block, the default action to be done is to print that line. So for example, if I do bash blocks, so here I'm seeing the condition is $2 greater than 30, which means age. Age is the second column, right? Age greater than 30. If I print this, you can see all those lines where the age is greater than 30, that gets printed. So the entire line gets printed. So this is equivalent of doing print $0, right? Because if you don't give, so even if you don't even give the parent, like the braces, so you don't have anything at all, if you just have the condition, that is equivalent of print $0. And also print $0 is equivalent of print. So if you just write print, that also prints the entire line. So if you don't mention what to print, it will print the entire line. And if you just want to print, you don't even have to write this. You can just have the condition. And just having the condition also prints the entire line. Similarly, now this was condition without a body. If you have a body without a condition, that means for all lines. So it matches all lines. So we have seen this many times. So we have this general block where we don't write any condition here, right? So you can have any condition here. For example, uh, lines that have A. Uh, I think Ali won't be printed, right? Ahmad won't be printed. So if I do this, then you can see only these names are printed because I am conditioning with the A being present. But if I don't give any condition, then by default, all lines will be matched with this. So then inside I can do any kind of thing, like print only the first field. So I can get only the names. Right? So hopefully this was clear. Let me know if you have
Sir,
any doubts in
what is
this.
that
Yeah.
EOF, sir? It is that air doc something related to that.
Yes, yes. This is related to the doc. This is not part of the awk script. Only this part is part of the awk script.
So what does that do? Air doc.
So you can go through the head of document, right? So we won't be covering that here. So as I said, it basically gives a block of text that you write in the script as standard input to any command. So you can give it to cat if you want to show it to the screen, or if you want to save it to a file. So here we are giving it to cat, and output we are redirecting to script.awk. So this thing goes as standard input to cat, which basically just prints it, and that is redirected to script.awk. So this thing gets saved in script.awk.
Okay, the output of the awk command.
No, the script itself gets saved in script.awk.
Okay.
The output of this cat command is.
Okay, instead of using nano or vim script.awk from
Yeah, so if you're using Nano, you
especially
will do it interactively. If I want to do it inside a script, then I can do it this way.
okay, from the script you are creating a awk file.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right, so that's all we have to
So but
cover
in the
for
exam we
today.
don't have to do that because we have to
No,
create
no, no.
So
something.
In
can we
exam, you will
have
just create yeah.
Okay.
can we have a revision of tar and find?
Uh, tar and fine. I can tell you that it won't be important. But if you want to go through tar and fine, you can go through this end term revision. I think there we have gone through tar and fine. Let me check once. I'm not sure. Okay, no, I have not done talent find in this. I've done talent find definitely somewhere. I cannot remember where. Uh, but yeah, I won't be able to take another session tomorrow. So you can bring it up in the instructor sessions or peer sessions, right? So if you have any other doubts, you can clarify that.
Sir,
Yeah.
can you explain a little bit about the arrays in Bash array? Like
Yeah. So
how to
in
create one
Bash,
and how to print and
so we covered it two times, right? So in Bash, if you basically have the round brackets, right? So anything you put in between round brackets, if you are assigning that way, that will be stored as an array. So
you
there's
have
no
covered it in
special.
today's session?
Yes, yes, we've done it 2 or 3 times.
Okay, then I will watch the YouTube
Yeah,
recording. No problem. Thank you.
sure, sure.
So because I asked about it because somebody mentioned that one question will be on tar and find.
I don't think so. So you can go through the tar and find sessions that we have in the YouTube, but I can tell you that it won't be important for the OPP.
So I think there is a question in NPP.
Yes, in NPP it's there.
Sir, could you please summarize like what overall like, top level like
Uh,
we first saw set sorry the bash scripts like,
I sent the link, right, Vincent? I
okay sir.
sent the, where did it go? I have so many things in my clipboard. I'm not able to find. Yeah, I sent this, right? So here you can find the slides. So go to today's folder. So today is 2025-0326. So there you can find all the examples also. You can find the slides also. All
Okay.
the scripts that we have used, all of them are there.
So
Right?
can you also
So
share the YouTube link where it had everything?
yeah, so this is the channel. One second. This is the channel. So here, if you go to the live stream, you will find today's live stream. And if you go to the videos, which is the link I sent, so there you have all the other videos. So you have OPP tips and tricks, what is TMUX, you have what is SSH, you have the revision, OPP revision. You can just go through these sessions if you're interested. Right, so hopefully that's all. So let's wrap up. We
Sir, could
extended
you
a lot. Yeah, yeah.
so could you explain the various methods which we use like for command line argument. Like we use script.sh and 20 or some arguments we pass, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
what are all the methods we may require? Like if you want to access the number of arguments which we got, we use dollar hash. And if
Yes.
you want to loop through, we use dollar at something.
Yes, you can loop through using the for loop, and in for loop you can go through the uh, like dollar. So there are two things. So there is dollar star and dollar at. So dollar star takes all the arguments as one string. Dollar at takes all the arguments as an array. Right?
Okay.
So in most cases they will be same if you don't have multi-word arguments. But if you have multi-word arguments, you should use dollar quoted dollar at. Right? So if you do for I in quoted dollar at, this will iterate over all of the elements of the array, and it will preserve the spaces. It will not split at spaces.
Okay. If argument as a space in between.
Yes, yes. If, if we covered this in the OPP revision part one, so we have covered iterating over files, we have covered arrays, so you can go through those. So we have timestamps in that session as well.
Okay. Iterating over the command line arguments. Sir.
Yeah.
Which session, sir? In the
OPP revision part one.
last term. No, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
previous term. Okay. Okay. And dollar hash means the number of arguments which they have passed.
Arguments.
Sir,
Yes, yes.
okay. This is from which week, sir? I just forgot this.
This
Maybe.
is batch scripting, right? So week 6.
Okay, I'll check that. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Also, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but if you want to go through the topics, like not top to bottom, but just refer to whatever you have doubts, you can just go through the textbook that we have for this course, and you can just look for that topic and go through that topic. So you don't have to read it cover to cover. If you have doubt in any topic, just open that part of the book and just read through. So a lot of your doubts will be clarified if you read the man page, info page, or like that particular section of the book.
Okay. Sir, also the question syllabus is very vast, right? From week 1 to 9. So, like, is that like which topics are important? Maybe for
Okay, so you have questions from grep, you have questions from bash, you have questions from sed and from awk, and you also have one question on like the basics of Linux, right? So something like this. Now, you know the group like week-wise grouping. So week 4 is grep, week 6 and 7 is bash, week 8 is sed, week 9 is awk. Now, week 1, week 2, week 3, these are your like foundations. If you don't know these, then you can't do obviously questions of the bash or grep ones also, right? So you need to know the week 5 also, include week 5 in that. So the specific topics are like from week 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But the other ones are like the building blocks. So if you don't know the alphabets, you cannot write prose. Right? So you can think 1, 2, 3, and 5 as the alphabets, and then 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 as the different ways of writing prose.
Okay. Sir, also the OPP VM will be down before 1.5 days before the exam, something they said. So if you have to practice, we have to use Replit or
Or you
WSL.
can use the course VM. I think course VM will be up. Yeah, you can also use WSL Replit.
Okay, but I don't know about course VMs. If you could check that.
Yeah, I'll clarify. Yeah.
In the discourse.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Let's wrap up, everyone. So let's have a dinner. I think all of us are hungry. So we'll
Thank you, sir.
close the session. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for joining and also sticking till the end. Yeah. So I'll stop the
Sir,
stream now.
how will the difficulty level be compared to the P?